come to order. Madam Clerk, do we have a quorum? Would you please call the roll? Present.
Present. Present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Again, I want to welcome everyone to the Public Safety Committee of Cleveland City Council. We have two pieces of legislation that we're going to deal with today. We're going to take them a little out of order because we know there's some folks here who want to, on public comment on the one piece, so we'll take the tow piece first, and that is ordinance number 698-2026 by council members Polensek and Griffin by departmental request. And again, to the viewing public, there's been, I think there's been some confusion. When the chair reads the legislation and it says by departmental request, that's because the department has requested that, and they'll put it in the names of the chair of the committee and also the council president. So you'll see that uniformly across the board. So the council people on the piece might not necessarily support it, but again, it's by departmental request. So an emergency ordinance to amend section 405.01, 405.03, 405.06, 405.08, 405.10, and 405.11 of the codified ordinances of Cleveland, Ohio, 1976, as amended by various ordinances to supplement the codified ordinance by enacting new section 405.14 and to repeal sections 405.05, 405.09, and 405.12, all relating to vehicle impoundment and towing operations administered by the Department of Public Safety. It was read for the first time on June 1st. Then it went through administrative review, approved by Director of Public Safety, approved by Acting Director of Finance. There is no estimated cost on the piece. Director Drummond, introduce your team here at the table and go forward.
Morning, Chair and council members. Well, with me at the table to my left is Assistant Director Jason Schachtner.
Okay.
To my right is Sergeant Donegan from the Cleveland Division of Police Impound Unit.
Please pull your mic closer, Director. She's telling you. Okay.
Okay, do I need
ahead.
to repeat? Okay. At the table with me is, to my left is Assistant Director Jason Schachtner, and to my right from the Division of Police is Sergeant Donegan from the Impound Unit. And you've mentioned before that this particular piece was read on Monday. We're actually here to answer any questions, but before we delve into it, I know there are questions that was asked specifically from the Division of Police and the Department of Public Safety.
Okay.
I gave you a handout there, sheet, which lists the tow truck companies here that's under contract with the City of Cleveland. The question was how many. We have 9. You want the location, that's all on there. The addresses for the 9 towing agencies, the
Yes.
vendors, as well as the amount of money that they made or earned from the City of Cleveland. It's all there. Just want to make sure that was there. The other thing that I think is important for us to address, the questions were, do we have comparable cities that were specifically charging for stolen recoveries? We do. Assistant Director Schachtner is going to get into that more
Okay.
specifically, and so I'll turn it over to him.
Okay, just briefly before the Assistant Director. If I own a tow company, how do I apply, if I wish to apply to be a tower in the City of Cleveland? How does one go about that?
Through the chair, Sergeant Donegan will take that.
Sergeant?
To the chair, yes, sir. Every 4 years, well, technically every 2 years, the contract is up for rebid. It's a non-competitive contract. A tow company just needs to either ask to be sent the request for proposal, or they can request the proposal from the City of Cleveland's website, or they can contact my office directly and be put on the mailing list. We send out the packets. The various companies respond with their proposal. After that, we do site visits, inspect their vehicles, and make our recommendations to the committee.
So we have 9 towers at present.
Yes, sir.
And all tow vehicles, all tow trucks operating in the city of Cleveland must have a name on them and a number, correct?
That is correct.
So to the viewing public, if there are tow trucks operating in your neighborhood, you see tow trucks with no name on them, no number, you can easily ascertain that they're operating illegally, correct?
They could either be unmarked repo vehicles,
Okay.
or they could be possibly illegally operating tow trucks.
But even a repo, don't they have to have a number on it if it's a tow vehicle?
I believe they need to have a PUCO number on
Okay,
the side
I
of the
wanna make-
vehicle.
Because there had been some questions in the past about cars being taken, stolen by unrecognizable tow vehicles. So I want to make sure that anyone watching this at home, if there are tow trucks operating in your neighborhood taking cars and they're not identified, then I would urge you to call Cleveland Police Department. Assistant Director, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. To the Chair regarding stolen vehicle tows, recovered stolen. I mean, Cincinnati charges $100 for a stolen vehicle. Columbus is a one-time reduction. The first time vehicle stolen, it would be $55. That vehicle stolen again, it's the normal tow fee. Looking through municipalities, I could only find 2 cities, political subdivisions in the state of Ohio who do not charge for stolen vehicles. One is Whitehall, which is a small suburb outside of Columbus, which is about 5 square miles and 20,000 people.
Okay.
And then Avon requires the tower to contact the insurance company and then to go for the city to pay for that. But again, only about 20,000 people live in Avon.
So as it stands right now, if you live in the city of Cleveland and you have a vehicle stolen and the vehicle is towed by one of the city 9 towers, that fee is $75. Well, proposed fee,
The proposed fee is correct.
$75. Okay.
Correct.
So just quickly run through your rates, your proposed rates, and then we'll open up for questions.
The proposed rate changes, and Sergeant Donigan could certainly
Yes.
enlighten us on the rationale. The standard tow fee for non-commercial would raise from $125 to $190, which is comparable to Cincinnati. Recovered stolen tow is from $50 to $75. We'd be repealing the arrest impound tow, which is currently $175. That would be repealed.
Okay.
So that's basically your tow incident to arrest. Dolly flatbed tire surcharge from $35 to $50.
Right.
Commercial storage raised from $10 to $20 a day. For greater than 5 tons of net weight, from $20 to $25 a
Yes.
day. Transmission pin removal on non-commercial from $2 to $35. Towing preparation labor. So this is in excess of a half hour. Would be $7 from
Right.
$7 per quarter hour to $35 per quarter hour after a half hour. Additional helper rate from $36 an hour to $40 an hour. Additional helper rate for commercial is from $18 to $20 a half hour. Specialized equipment use, which is capped at $1,200 total, from $200 an hour to $250 an hour. And incomplete drop tow, which means somebody kind of shows up and we take the car off the truck, from $25 to $45.
Okay. And then,
are
so
the fee changes.
the administration had been in dialogue with towers. So you're recommending these new rates to the safety committee and then ultimately to the full council based on your discussions with the towers and some of the ongoing challenges. Would you care to mention what some of those challenges are? that the towers are confronted with today?
To the chair, yes, sir. Currently, the average price of diesel listed in Ohio was $3.50 back in 2014, the last time this contract was revisited. Over the cost, the years, the increase has increased to, let's see, a significant increase. These recommendations were based upon increases in the cost of labor, the average minimum wage in the state of Ohio over the years, the increase in the fuel cost, and also adjusted for real dollars by an inflation calculator by the Minneapolis Federal Bank.
Okay.
So,
Do some of the questions that and comments have been posed to me, the towing of electric vehicles poses other challenges. What are they?
absolutely. You've probably, to the chair, you've probably noticed several stories in the news, the hazardous component of the vehicle, the batteries are prone to bursting into flames after an accident. One vehicle in particular had to be put out 3 times en route to the impound lot by Cleveland Fire Department from an accident scene in the city of Cleveland. The storage of those vehicles also poses a problem, but just the hazardous nature of those vehicles is the number of those vehicles that we're encountering is increasing. So
Okay.
they also have to deal with those.
Okay. Are I'm also told that the electric vehicles are much heavier than a standard vehicle.
That is true.
Okay. Okay, members of the committee, questions of the administration. This is being recommended to City Council to increase the fees. Last time the fees were increased were in 2014. Is there anybody on the sign-up sheets for this piece of legislation? Not any, okay, no one signed up for this piece, comment on this piece. Okay. Questions of the committee? Any questions of the committee? Without any, yes, Mr. Casey?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, to the director, we've had conversations, and I've met with the tow, and it's unsettling that we're making the victims of a crime almost a second victim by charging them to get their vehicles back. But I also understand that we don't want to make the tow truck drivers victims either by working without them being paid. So, Mr. Chairman, to the director, how many cars were towed total in the city of Cleveland in 2025?
Before you respond, I wanted to make sure, because I did this prior to the committee. I've appointed Councilman Casey and Councilman Shaw as pro tem because of some of our members could not be here today. So, Madam Clerk, please record that as pro tem. Thank you.
Through the chair,
Go ahead.
through the chair, Councilman Casey, I have the number. Let me. Yeah, total towed. Stolen, you said?
No, how
Just
many total?
Okay, sorry.
That's
total.
my second question.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, 115,035. 115,035 cars were towed last year.
And then 115,035 cars were towed
Yeah.
last year. How many stolen vehicles were towed last year?
1,585. I sent that information to you guys, but it's 1,585.
1,000
585.
for 2025?
Sorry, let me back that up. Thank
Okay.
you. I read the number wrong to the chair. It's 11,535. I apologize. 11,000.
Cars were towed.
Yes,
wait a
I
minute.
apologize.
I was going to say 115,000.
11,535. I apologize.
That was the actual
Actual
total.
tolls, period. And then for vehicles stolen, recovered, that's $1,585.
Okay, thank you
All
very
right,
much.
and those were the ones that were stolen, right?
recovered,
The
yes.
1,505. All
To
right,
the chair,
Mr.
yes.
All right, Mr. Chairman, to the director, because we are going from, I think it's $125 to $190.
That's a recommendation, yes, sir.
Right, exactly. That's a significant increase in and of itself. You're talking $70 a tow, right? Times that by, we'll just say 10,000, I'm just rounding up. It's a significant amount of money. Is there a way possible in this world, Mr. Chairman, to the director, to increase the other fees but not increase the cost for a stolen vehicle?
Director?
Through the chair to Councilman Case, that's something we have to take a look at. We haven't contemplated that, but we certainly can take a look at that.
We have, obviously, once it leaves us, it goes to the Finance Committee. But, so if so Councilman, you're recommending, what would you recommend?
I would, and I don't know if I want to make that at the table now, or
Okay.
if we want to have
Yes.
that discussion between now and finance.
Okay.
The increase in the fees, except for the stolen vehicles.
Okay.
I mean, it's still bad enough that we're charging individuals who are victims of crime, but
Yeah.
and I get the increase with the labor and
Yeah.
all that other stuff, right? I
Okay.
get that, but I don't think anybody in this room feels comfortable charging somebody who's the victim of a crime
Right.
anyways.
Yes.
Let alone they have to pay to get their property back.
Yes.
Through the chair, Councilman Case, I certainly understand. We too do not want to victimize the victim a second time.
Right.
Certainly understand that. But
Yeah,
what's being contemplated potentially will also push the fees off to customers, other customers as well. So their fees will go up as well. So we have to take that in consideration. Certainly, again, we don't want to victimize a victim a second time.
Yeah.
But we also have to have a balance when we consider increasing the fees in the other parts of the legislation as well.
Right, but Mr. Chairman, to the director, there's already the proposal to increase the other fees, right? And I don't think anybody on this side of the table is arguing that the fees should or need to be increased just because we haven't done it in forever. But it's that victim that we need to be careful of, right? I mean, it's different if I'm going downtown and I park illegally because I'm going to a ball game or whatever. And I'm parked in a no parking zone. That's my fault, right? My fault. My car got towed. Whatever. That's on me. But if my car's sitting in my driveway and then I wake up in the morning and it's gone, and then I get a call from the police department saying we got your car because it was stolen, that's not on me, right? That's not my fault. So I just think we need to be a little more conscious of victims of crime.
Through the chair, Councilman Casey, don't disagree with you, and we're being as conscientious as we can. We did make a recommendation to drop the fee down to 75. We can have further discussion before Finance Committee.
What was it originally, Mr. Chairman, to the director? What did you want to originally increase it to?
The original tow fee was 125. The recommendation is to drop it down. It's 125, correct?
Through the chair, so the original tow fee, it was 125, increased to 190, and then 50 to $75. So I think the rationale behind that is they're both being raised by an equal number, 41%. And I hear you on the tow fee, if it's possible just to keep it at $50. That is something that we could explore the ramifications of and come back with a more solid answer at finance.
Okay, and then another question, Mr. Chairman, to the
Yes.
director, and because I know this was brought up during committee of the whole, and that is if there's an accident, right, and there's debris left behind in an accident, is it the responsibility of the tow company to do the best that they can, to the best of their ability, to clean up the debris that's left behind?
Through the chair, Councilman Casey, absolutely. It's part of their requirements. It's in the contract, and Sergeant Donegan can add more information as well.
Sergeant?
To the councilman through the chair, yes, sir. And when it was brought to our attention that that may have been lacking at one of the last readings, an email was sent out to all the tow companies reminding them of that responsibility. There is also a possibility that some of the debris could have been the result of a private tow from an accident. In either case, the officers on scene can direct the tow company to give it further attention to remediate the situation. And if a scene for a tow company that operates for the city of Cleveland requires additional attention by the tow company, I can be notified at my office through the tow channel, and I will send out the tow company to have that taken care of.
Okay.
Likewise, if a car is removed by a private tower, we also keep those records of what tow companies respond, and if need be, they could either be given a citation and or called back to the scene to address the situation.
All right, and that leads to my other question, Mr. Chairman, to the director. What is the repercussion if a tow company, private or contracted with the city, does not clean or does not take the debris?
Who can respond to that?
To the councilman through the chair, an officer can issue a citation. It's classified as a non-classified misdemeanor. I believe the fine is $250 minimum, and that would be a way of handling the situation. For a company that is a tow operator for the city of Cleveland, not only that enforcement action, but irregularities, problems are sent to my office. Those are tracked, and those can be examined when the request for proposal, when the contract comes up for renewal.
Okay.
Thank
And then, Mr. Chairman, to
Yes.
the director, I know you don't know the answer to this today, but if you could get us how many tow companies, private or otherwise, have been cited for not taking the debris in the last year? And is that a general police order? Is that a GPO? Or is,
Who can
Through the
answer
chair,
that?
Councilman Casey, the towing of vehicle is a part of our general police order, yes.
Okay.
all right.
And we'll get to that information, we'll look for that
Thank
information,
you.
get it to you.
It's in ordinance 411.01, placing injurious material or obstruction in street. That's where the
Okay.
the crime lives, and it's
Okay.
it mimics the revised code
Thank you.
All
4511.74.
right, and then,
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, to the director, the police officers on scene actually hand the tow truck drivers their tow tag, right? The sheet, I don't know what it's called.
Tow sheet.
The
Through
tow
the
sheet.
chair.
Right.
Do our police officers make sure that that area is removed of debris before they hand them that tow sheet?
Through the chair, that's part of, yes,
Okay.
that's part of what
Alright.
they should do, to make sure that the area is cleaned up appropriately.
And then, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just to reiterate, if we could have a further discussion before this goes to committee of the whole about the possibility
Thank
of not increasing
Thank
the, or actually making it $50, right, for a
Thank you.
stolen vehicle tow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we we had talked about that. The director and I had talked about that along with the assistant safety director. One of the challenges that we have is that years ago we used to have our own tow trucks, and now we no longer have our own tow trucks. So we have to contract for tows, and obviously the tow operators are not giving us free service. We have to pay for that service. That's part of our challenges today. We had a tow truck fleet many, many years ago, but due to its age and the lack of filling those positions to tow vehicles, and I don't even know if director's been around a long time. Do you recall how many tow trucks we once had?
Through the chair, I do not
Okay,
recall. No, sir.
long before you, okay. So that's part of our challenge. Also, I'm going to request of the administration, you did provide the 9. I'd like to know who is the contact person, who's the responsible person for each one of these tow companies. And then you gave us addresses but no zip codes. And then the section, the charter section, GPO, whatever you read to us about cleaning up debris, if you could provide that to us as well, we'd like to have that. I concur with Councilman Casey. A couple weeks ago, there was a wreck, 152nd in Villaview. Whole front of the car, what was left of the front of the car was just laying there on Villaview Road, and it was like, what is this? So I had to call Streets to come out and pick the mess up. I had no idea what tow company, who was involved, but it was an absolute mess on Villaview at 152nd Street on the east side of the street. So, okay, Councilman Slife, and then we're going to move on.
Thank you. You had noted previously that efforts are made to contact individuals when stolen cars are found prior to calling a tow. So if the number of stolen vehicles towed is 1,585, do you have a total number of vehicles stolen so we can try to determine like a success rate for doing something in lieu of towing? So those are stolen cars that were towed. I'm trying to understand how many cars were stolen and we were able to avoid a tow.
Do we know? That's a
Through
good
through the
question.
chair to Councilman Slife, we don't have the number. We probably can find it for you. We'll
Okay,
see if we can
thank you.
find it. Yep.
So,
Also, Chair, if you look at the sheet I added to you, if you
Yes.
look underneath it, the zip codes are there as well. For example, if you look at Eckes, it's 113.
okay,
You
I'm
look at
okay, yeah,
Kuffner's,
yeah,
it's
yeah, okay.
144. So
I
it's
didn't
all there.
see that. Okay, thank you. But get us the contact individual for each one of them and a phone number.
Through the chair, we can do that.
Okay. And then Councilman Slife, we want to know how many cars were stolen in the city of Cleveland in
The-
2025.
Through the chair, I can get you that
Okay.
before I leave today.
Okay. Without any further questions.
To the chair,
Yes.
there's just two small
Yeah.
Amendments that are just
What are the
scrivener's errors.
amendments? Okay.
The first would be,
Wait. Go ahead. Read the amendment.
Point of clarification.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Jones.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Casey brought up the proposition, which I'm in agreement with, in his earlier testimony about the fact that you have people who have had their cars stolen and they've been victims.
Yes.
So are we going to keep that price where it's at, or are we talking about increasing it?
We're going to ask the director and assistant safety and the sergeant to take a look at that to see if we can roll that back to what it presently is now. And we'll do that hopefully before the time it gets to this finance committee. I would ask you to take a deep
Yeah.
dive on that.
Through the chair to Councilman Polensek as well as Councilman Jones. I've discussed it briefly as we were talking here, and that
Right.
staying at $50 would not be an issue.
Okay, well then we'll make that, then Councilman Casey, I'll let you make the amendment.
Oh, I think Councilman Slife's still on the clock.
Oh, no, you can, Councilman Casey.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I gotta find it here. What number?
It is it's the 698-2026.
All right,
And that is the section pertaining to stolen vehicle, recovered stolen vehicle.
I'm just
which would
finding
be,
it.
to the chair, 405.06A2.
.06A2.
Line 3 of A2.
All right, in section 405.02,
6.
06, A2, on line 3, it should, after dollars, it should just read $50 per person reclaiming scratch 75. And in the second line at the end, it says we had 50 scratched and added 75. It should just go back to $50 for a person reclaiming a recovery stolen vehicle.
Okay. Assistant Law Director, did you get that?
Correct.
Yes.
Just to go back to the original 50.
Right. Okay. Any questions on the amendment being offered? Any questions? All those in favor? Madam Clerk,
Should
call
we
the
say,
roll.
did we get a second for the amendment?
Is there a second?
It's a second, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman.
Call the roll on the amendment. Yes. Keep going.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there any other questions on the piece of legislation?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Jones.
I asked this question, and I'm not sure where we are. The Director of Safety has testified greatly on this piece in terms of the amount of people who are towed each year in the city of Cleveland in his earlier testimony.
Yes.
And, Mr. Chairman, I asked this question several years ago because the makeup of the city of Cleveland is a very diverse city of Cleveland. And, you know, we have to be fair with minorities who do apply for these jobs, may be aware, may not be aware of when this information is let out on giving opportunities to younger generations of towers, especially those who live in the city of Cleveland. As you're aware, Mr. Chairman, I've always supported businesses in the city of Cleveland, especially those who are housed in the city of Cleveland
Yes.
and who live in the city of Cleveland. I think it's significant and it's important. And so the question is, how many towers are towing all of those vehicles that the director talked about earlier in his
Councilman,
testimony?
we talked about that before you arrived, but there are 9 towers.
And how many is minority?
I can't tell you, Director, but.
Through the-
Mr. Chairman, to the director, how many of those
Give us-
9 tours
But
are
also
minorities?
explain briefly, because you did before the councilman got here, what the process is to apply to be considered for a tower. Thank
I
you.
know, but
Go
Mr.
ahead.
Chairman, my question before, and I don't have a problem with him answering the process. Mr. Chairman, the question is, how many minority towers
Can I-
do we have?
Go ahead.
Through the chair to Councilman Jones, it's 40% of the towers in the city of Cleveland, 40% are either minority or female-owned.
All right. So how many black towers are there, Mr. Chairman? Let's get specific,
Do we know?
because you should know. It's
Through
only
the-
9 people.
Through the chair,
Director.
through the chair to Councilman Jones, I don't have that in front of me, but I can tell you that 40% of the 40% are either female or
And Mr.
minority.
Chairman, I wouldn't believe that there's one black person that is a tower. If the director is telling me that there's minority, but we don't know who they are, because that's another issue that as an African American male and a business owner, you know, the process is always tossed at us that, you know, minority this, minority that, but it doesn't mean that it's African American. So if Mr. Chairman, if the director knows if we have an African American tower,
We will ask for that information in
he
writing.
seems to know right now.
Yeah,
Who-
through the chair to Councilman Jones, during the open bidding process, according to Sergeant Donegan, none applied.
Say
I didn't hear
say
that.
We
What was
didn't hear
that?
that.
Now, do you, Mr. Chairman,
Wait a
does the gentleman here handles all the towers?
I-
Would he have the answer?
The sergeant isn't
Go ahead.
over the tow operation. Sergeant, would pull that mic and pull it closely so we can hear.
Yes, sir. To the councilman through the chair, during the open bidding for the last request for proposals, over 30 companies were sent out packets. As I answered before, the listing was on the city's website. The listing was in the publication for the towing.
Mr. Chairman, that's not the question.
Wait a minute.
Yes, sir. As a result, out of all the packets that were returned to the city of Cleveland, none of them were owned by African American males.
Okay.
What about
Councilman.
African American females, Mr. Chairman?
To the councilman through the chair, to my knowledge, no such companies applied. I did go out and visit each company that did apply for the request for proposal.
Okay,
So
Councilman.
you did, Mr. Chairman, to the distinguished gentleman, out of the 40 people, were there minorities that applied?
Out of the 30-some packets that were sent out, a handful were returned. Those included the companies that are currently and 1 or 2 that were outside the city of Cleveland that were not included, were not brought on as contractors. The companies outside of the city of Cleveland were not African American owned. companies.
So we didn't have no African American. You didn't send any of these 30 applicants or these 30 applications out. I guess this would have been your RFQ, or is it, what would you call it?
To the councilman through the chair, that's referred to as an RFP, request for proposal. And I don't know the ethnic makeup of the owners of the companies. I just know I sent out over 30 packets.
The reason why I asked is because you said you interviewed with all of them, that you went out and you talked to those people who did fill out those applications and turned it into the city. I presume the question was, Mr. Chairman, to the distinguished police officer, that you're saying that there was no minorities at all, no black women or males, females, nothing of that sort.
Right.
And that's the reason why I'm bringing this issue, Mr. Chairman. Now, this goes on 6 years when I first brought this issue up here at the table, 6 years ago, about having a process that's fair, where minorities have an opportunity to get a stable living. And that's what we seem to have a problem with in terms of institutionalized racism, that it just becomes a part of the system over years, and it doesn't matter who switches what spots, minorities are still left out and don't have an opportunity to, and not even mailed, it seems, that none of these packets are minorities, females, black men or women, who make up half of the city's population, not having the opportunity to get these jobs. And that's the reason why I sit here. I sit here from a generation of black people that were born in 1914. And those folks wanted only three things, Mr. Chairman. They wanted to make sure that they had schools for their children so their kids could get educated. Just simple stuff. And the other piece was to have a home and share in the American belief of dreaming and working hard. And then having a fair shake and an opportunity for contracts and to live a good life in America. And so we sit here 6 years later, and I brought the situation to the table, and I thought that maybe we would include some African American towers, and we don't have not one included. And I was told that we would reach out to them then, and that was 6 years ago. So I hope, Mr. Chairman, and I know that in my neighborhood alone, we have several tow companies, and we have several minority tow companies. And so I just would say, Mr. Chairman, that, you know, I'm disappointed to see that racism is still within the system, and it's one of the reasons why we're sitting here at this table talking about what's right and what's fair. And it seems like we have a problem to some degree about having processes that are fair and that reaches out to not only some people, but reaches out to all people, giving them an opportunity, especially those who live in the city of Cleveland. And if Mr. Chairman, the director wants me to work with him to get, you know, and we sit here talking about this all the time, that's why we spent $10 million for workforce development. You know, you mean to tell me we can't reach out to, Mr. Chairman, minority tow truck owners and say, hey, are you interested? You know, and then we have all these institutions, we spend all this money and pay them, like the Urban League. You mean to tell me we couldn't reach out to the Urban League? We couldn't reach out to organizations that try to help minorities get a foot up? So that's a question to me, Mr. Chairman, that we continue to discriminate against minorities. And we don't even know it. We're clueless of it because we sit here and just delegate over a process. And so, Mr. Chairman, I would ask the director, can we contact the Urban League? When is the next set of contracts are due to be sent out?
Director, Sergeant, whoever can answer.
To the councilman through the chair, yes, sir. As I've stated before, we can add any additional companies. We can reach out. The next request for proposal, the contract has been forwarded to the law department. That process should be nearly complete by October of this year.
So then when we're going to go out, Mr. Chairman, to solicit again?
Sergeant?
The packets will be sent out after the form of the request for proposal is approved by the law department and after the Contract Review Committee signs off on the current mailing list.
Okay, are you developing a list now to send that packet out to?
I am, and additional tow companies can be added to that mailing list
Okay.
at any time.
So this is what I would request of the director. If you could supply to us, all members, all 15 members, what are the prerequisites to tow for the city of Cleveland? We know there are certain standards that have to be obtained. Send it to every member. This is what is required of a tow contractor, and if you know of any tow contractor in your community, either to submit the name, so get us the sergeant's contact information, or who we would direct that to. So if I have ABC Tower in my ward, this is who I can direct it to, so they get on the bid list. But we need to know what the prerequisites are.
Through the chair, we'll get you that information. You
Councilman
can send
Jones.
information.
And then,
to me.
Mr. Chairman, to show in good faith, will the director reach out to the Urban League?
Through the chair, Councilman Jones, I will.
Okay.
And then also, Mr. Chairman, just to show what I'm talking about as a substantial statement here, the tow companies that we have currently is I want to make sure I'm clear on this. Is it 8 or is it 9?
Through the chair, we have 9.
Okay, so of those 9 tow companies that we have, Mr. Chairman, how long have those tow companies been with the city of Cleveland, those 9?
Can you tell us, Sergeant, if possible? If not,
The proof is in the pudding.
go ahead.
To the council person, through the chair, currently 3 of the 9 are new companies that just joined the last contract. The other 6 have been doing, well, correction. Interstate came on 2 contracts ago, and the other 5 have been with the city for some time.
Can you
providing
tell me what
excellent
that
service.
sometime is?
We'll request that. If you
Mr.
could-
Chairman, don't
Yeah.
now I'm asking him a question. He knows. I know he knows. So what is sometime? I want you to be honest. Because see, the only way we're able to deal with, I'm not saying you're not honest, Mr. Chairman, to the sergeant. I'm just saying I would like to have an honest answer. Because I've sat here for a long time and seen companies, Mr. Chairman, that have been here doing business with the city over 30 years. So is some of those companies in there been there for 30 years?
To the
Sergeant.
council person through the chair, I don't know specifically, but since I've been involved with the impound unit, they have been with the city since 2017.
Okay. So,
So
Mr.
we'll
Chairman,
ask
I
for-
would like
we're
to
gonna
get
ask
a
for the
list
dates.
of the time periods
Yeah.
that these tow companies have been working with the city of Cleveland.
Thank you.
And I think that we should, Mr. Chairman, spread a little love around to others that do live in the city of Cleveland. And Mr. Chairman, you have been way back in the 90s. You have advocated for giving jobs and contracts to people who are invested in the city of Cleveland.
That's right.
These are people who live here. And these are people who have their businesses, but then unfortunately, Mr. Chairman, to the city here. If we're going to be a city that's going to distribute our resources and our wealth, we should be distributing it to those people who are voters and to those people who live in the city of Cleveland and who work in the city of Cleveland, who raise their family in the city of Cleveland, who's invested in the city of Cleveland. And so me sitting here at this end of this table, Mr. Chairman, representing that great generation of 1914, we believe that it should be some fairness in the entire process. And I've talked about this to great length in the past, and I hope that we can get this information. And I know that the safety director and the group that's in front of us are good folks. And so I hope that we can make it a little bit fair so that the citizens in the city of Cleveland have an opportunity. Not all outside companies, because right now what I'm seeing, Mr. Chairman, is a lot of outside companies doing a lot of business in the city of Cleveland in various different departments.
Thank you, Councilman. You've heard our request. Put that data together for us. The contact people at the tow companies, how long they have been with the city, the prerequisites of what, if I want to apply to the city, what do I have to have? What type of vehicles? What do I have to have? Et cetera, et cetera. get that all to us, and then we can disseminate that information out to our neighborhoods with the hope that we can get additional contractors to apply. Are there any further questions of the committee? If not,
Well, through the chair,
Yes.
sorry, I had two amendments.
okay, what are the two amendments? Go ahead.
In the second whereas clause in line 3, it says new sections 405.13. That should read 405.14.
Okay,
And then I have this one prepared. Thanks.
okay, go ahead.
It's in section 1 at amended section 405.03C, line 3, before in their possession to insert no longer. That was just
Okay,
error on my part.
Councilman Slife.
I move to amend the ordinance in section 1 at amended section 405.03C, line 3, before in their possession, insert no longer.
Okay. Is there a second to that? Second. We need a second. Thank you. There's been a motion made to amend based on a request of the administration. There's been a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay.
Through the chair, the other one's just the second whereas clause. Just need to correct 405.13 to 405.14.
Okay. So that's included. So again, without any further discussion, ordinance number 698-2026 is approved as amended. Please sign it up. And now, yeah, here we go. Okay. Okay, gang, we got one more piece here. Okay, and we do have folks signed up for public comment. Resolution number 457-2026 by council members Shaw, Bishop, Polensek, Hudson, and Griffin by departmental request, an emergency resolution declaring the necessity and intention to appropriate property for the public use of the constructing new firehouse number 23 for the Division of Fire located at 10022 Madison Avenue in the city of Cleveland. It was read for the first time on April 6, 2026. Went through administrative review. Was approved by the Director of Capital Projects, approved by Director of Public Safety, approved by Director of City Planning, approved by Director of Finance. Let's see what else we got. Let's say when it came over to us. Came over to us on the 27th of May. Director, introduce your team for the viewing public.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having us here today. So to my right is Mark Dulick. He's the manager of architecture and site development. And to my left is Commissioner DeGennaro, who's the commissioner of real estate for the city of Cleveland. And to the far right, Director Drummond. And at the far left is our fire chief. And we're here to talk about the acquisition of 10022 Madison Avenue. And I'd like to start by saying that, at Committee of the Whole on Monday, we appreciate that City Council heard the separate ordinance related to the acquisition of 10022 Madison Avenue, which allows us to have the legal authority to negotiate and purchase the property in good faith without the use of eminent domain. We have been had many meetings with the property owner and many discussions. So while this particular resolution of intent to appropriate was introduced at City Council way back in March, we feel that eminent domain, while it's a heavy tool for the government to use, it is a tool that is available to equal the playing field for both parties. And by that I mean that if we were in an eminent domain proceeding, then there would be a magistrate that would help negotiate between the parties, and then there would, if negotiation could not be completed by that magistrate, then it would go to a jury. And that is something that we as a city have done over the years. And it's something that I've done throughout my career, It's not something that you go to as the first way to appropriate to acquire property, but it is a tool that is helpful, useful, and fair to all parties.
So, and before, so there's initial piece of legislation which was passed on Monday.
Yes, sir.
Now there's this resolution, and there would be a third legislative action. What is that?
Yes, so what we passed on Monday was the ability to make an offer and acquire the property just through negotiations.
And you're in negotiations right now with the property owner.
Yes, so even after that legislation passed, we received correspondence from the property owner's representative.
Okay.
We've been in discussion, spoke with him this morning. We certainly hope that we can negotiate this without eminent domain.
Okay.
But what we have now is the first of a two-step eminent domain process. So this is a resolution of intent to appropriate, and basically we're putting the world, the public, on notice that we may pursue eminent domain. And the way that the city of Cleveland is set up is that first you do a resolution of intent to appropriate.
Right.
And then you have to serve all the parties that have an interest in the property
Yes.
with that resolution. Then we can come back to city council for the second step, which is an ordinance that allows us to go through the appropriation process. It's very similar to a street vacation process, where first you say you have the intent to
Yes.
vacate a
Yeah.
street, and then you pass an ordinance to actually vacate the
So
street.
in essence, 2 ordinances and a resolution, if you were going to go through the whole process.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So before I call upon the director, well, maybe I'll do this. At this time, I'd like to hear from the director and the fire chief why a new firehouse is needed at that location. Director Drummond and then the chief.
And Mr. Chairman, will we have questions on just this piece as you break it down? Because I
well,
think
well,
what's important is
yeah.
that we have to break this down for the
I'll-
truth to be seen at the table
I'll have
so that we can understand this fundamentally.
I'll
Because
put
I'm telling you
everybody-
right now, I want to make sure it's a fair process.
I'll put everybody on, everybody has a right to ask questions, and you will be given that opportunity. Chief, excuse me, it's director and then fire chief.
Through the chair and to the council members, this is really important. We all know that the older Fire Station 23, or the original, was just right down the street from this particular location. It's an older station, just like some of the other stations in the city of Cleveland. When they were built initially in the prior years, they didn't take certain things in consideration, which is understandable. We are now in the process of making sure that we're separating our firefighters from the apparatuses and so forth. It's very difficult to make those changes in this older facility, Station 23. Additionally, we also have co-located in that particular station and others, our EMS wagons and units and so forth. And it's a very busy station. We want to make sure that we have a facility that can accommodate the apparatuses, that they can pull through versus backing up. Make sure there's adequate space and room for not only the fire apparatus, but also the wagons as well, and also having facilities that's separated from those apparatuses to keep our firefighters safe, and also our EMS folks as well. It's really critical that we have the different zones for our firefighters, and acquiring this particular property and building a new station right down the street will give us the opportunity to do that. And also logistically, when you think about it, again, in this particular location, the vehicles have to back into their space. With acquiring the property at West Boulevard and Madison, again, we'll have the ability through a design to have those vehicles pull through, having the ability to, again, have separate quarters that keep our firefighters safe, which is a priority for us. And also the capacity, because we've done it in the new fire stations, and having community engagement, having the ability to potentially have a community room for our community members to be able to come to have meetings and also interact with our firefighters. So it's a variety of reasons. Safety is paramount. Again, making sure our firefighters are safe. And now I'd like to turn it over to Chief Nato, can have even more reasons why it's important to acquire this particular property and build a new fire station there.
Chief, identify yourself for the viewing public. Push it and just pull it up close. Right up. closer, Chief. Okay.
Good morning. I'm Wayne Nada, Acting Chief for the Division of Fire. So I'd like to thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak on this request. The station, I'd like to echo some of the comments from Director Drummond. Really, it's about creating a station and a workspace that is a health, safe environment. This type of station, which I would call a saddlebag, has the living quarters on both sides of where the apparatus pull in and out of the station. Those apparatus, the exhaust has a lot of carcinogens and toxic particulates. We do try to capture as much of that as possible through vehicle exhaust systems,
Right.
but they still do accumulate throughout the station, which means they also then migrate into the living spaces, create potential health issues or problems for the individuals that are working there.
Yes.
In addition, we don't have a separate area to keep our contaminated gear. It's all in the same area as well. A common new fire station that would meet acceptable standards would have separate living areas, a separate zone for the fire apparatus, and a separate zone for the turnout gear with a cleaning facility in order to launder it, so that we don't bring all those harmful contaminants into the living space and expose people not just during the course of their duties, but also when they're back at station trying to relax and prepare. As mentioned, we run we run an engine and a ladder truck out of here. EMS also operates out of there. So it's only a two-bay station, but we're running 3 large city vehicles out of that station.
Okay.
And oftentimes EMS will just park on the street. It's very short pullout. There's not an apron that they can effectively, check the vehicle in the morning. So when they check the vehicle, sometimes a portion of it is in the station. The exhaust isn't hooked up. So while they're doing their vehicle checks, it's running, and that exhaust is also migrating into the station. The benefit of a new station with the pull-through, which would allow you to pull through it instead of having to back in off of a busy roadway, makes it safer for our firefighters who, at this point, have to hop off in the middle of the street, have to get off the apparatus, try to stop traffic, which doesn't always comply, and then back the vehicle into the station. I would also say that the apparatus are a little larger. The overhead clearance and the width of these doors is really tight for our apparatus to pull in and out. So a modern station pull through safe zones for all our living apparatus and gear is a much needed for this location.
Okay. So you have is there a ladder truck working out of this station as well, or just pumpers and EMS?
So that's affirmative. There's a ladder truck, an
Okay.
engine, and EMS.
Okay. So we have 2 sponsors, Councilman Shaw and Councilwoman Hudson. I'm going to ask for their comment at this time before we open it up for further presentations and questioning. Councilman Shaw?
Thank you to the chair, and thank you everyone for your time today. I really appreciate the opportunity for us to be able to really dig into this and make sure we are all on the same page and understand why not a single one of our city workers should be in conditions like this. And it's really critical for us to really upgrade these stations, and this one particularly. I'm hoping as we go through, we see the EMS bay as well. We're at the kennel, and just the deplorable conditions that our workers are in. And once again, none of these public servants, as many of us at this table, are doing this for the money. They're actually suffering health costs because of this profession, and it is our duty to make sure that we minimize those and we are looking out for the city overall. So I really appreciate that, and really appreciate everyone's time in walking us through what the conditions look like here and the necessity of it. And I think as the director already indicated, this is a second step towards that process. There is still another piece that we would have to approve as a committee. So even when I'm hoping we pass this, this is not the final step. There is still much more negotiations and conversations to be had before we go to court, where, once again, there would be a judge who would be in charge of making sure that both parties' rights are respected and they go through that constitutional process. There are safeguards along this route. This is not an ad hoc process that we're allowing to happen. So I appreciate everyone's time and attention.
Thank you. Councilman, so for the clarification, the actual location, proposed location, is in your ward, correct?
The current fire station is in Councilwoman Hudson's ward, and then the proposed new location, the former CVS station, is in Ward 12, correct? And
Clarification,
they're-
Mr. Chairman.
And what's the
Yeah.
clarification, Councilman?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to make sure I'm hearing this correctly. The actual fire station that we're
20
talking about,
the
that's
23.
in deplorable condition, is in Mrs. Hudson's, Councilwoman Hudson's neighborhood.
That's correct.
And the particular site that we want to have a new fire station, Mr. Chairman, is currently located in your neighborhood.
Councilman Shaw's
That's right.
ward.
And
Okay.
just so
Thank you.
they're literally a block apart. So
Yes.
if you go just a block east
go
of
on
Fire
a
Station 23,
site
you're in
plan.
Ward 12.
There is a presentation on your screen. You can see the locations. And so, Councilman Shaw, you support the resolution.
Absolutely, and I'm grateful for
thank you.
Councilwoman Hudson's passion.
Okay, Councilwoman Hudson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for holding this Safety Committee meeting today, and thank you, everybody, for joining us here today. I sincerely appreciate it. I've been at Station 23 several times. I was there yesterday to take some photos, just so I could, kind of give a virtual walkthrough. And just to reiterate, Station 23 was built in 1957. And in 1957, as was mentioned, the separating the living quarters from the equipment bay, that wasn't something that was, known to be important to do. And I think, now that we know it's the right thing to do. In other situations, ideally, maybe you could add on, or there might be room for an addition. However, the site constraints for this particular station, there isn't room to do anything at this spot. Right now, the firefighters and the EMS, they don't have room to park at the facility. And because of construction in the area with the new Marion Seltzer Elementary School, shift change in particular is a real challenge. And, there just isn't enough room for how things are currently, let alone to try to make the station, modern and a healthy environment for our workers. So I just want to quickly walk everybody through the station. As was mentioned by Chief Nada, the station, it has the large apparatus bay in the middle, and then the living quarters are immediately adjacent off of that. And then there are the two fire trucks in the, it's really tight in there. I hope the photos show how tight it is. And then the ambulance is backed in front of one of the fire engines. And this is the area in between the fire trucks. This is the center of the station on the left, and then on the right, that's the area between. You see the ambulance in the front, and then the fire truck behind, and then along the wall right there are the doors to where some of the living quarters are, and including the kitchen. So the EMS room and the room where the TV is for the firefighters, where they hang out, is also there. And then this is just a close-up of where, it's bumper to bumper for the ambulance and the fire truck. And I've spoken to both Fire Captain McNeely and O'Neill several times about, this situation in particular makes them very, very nervous. In particular, if, in the middle of the night when people are going out for a late run, that they're very worried that someone might accidentally get caught in between these two vehicles. Oops.
I'm sorry, explain that again. You said, what was that, Mr. Chairman?
So they back in. So the ambulance has to back in front of the fire truck. And so that also means that if the fire truck has to go out, the ambulance has to pull out first. So they have to, move cars around, similar to, like in my driveway. if, if I have to leave and my daughter's car is blocking me in.
Thank you. Anything else, Council Lady?
Yeah, and so here's the situation with the open gear, and then the room in the middle, that's the workout room. And these are the doors to the two of the rooms where this is the room where the couch and the TV is. The door behind it is the kitchen. The EMS room is on the right. This is in the living quarters, so this is the dormitory area. And they have cubicles set up to try and provide privacy. This is not a female compliant station because of the constraints. So this is where they sleep. And the windows do not open in this area. So that also, adds to the poor air quality in the station. They use, a portable air conditioner unit that you can see in the back. Ventilation, again, not great. The HVAC, it does not work properly. It's either on or off. They don't have adequate temperature control. And then this is the EMS facility that was mentioned at the city kennel. On the left is a tent that was set up in the garage. This is base 21. So this is an auxiliary EMS unit. And because there are birds in the garage, they had to set up a tent so that they don't get bird droppings on their belongings. And this is where they have to hang out between calls. And what the photos don't convey, and what was most troubling to me while we were on site, is we're at the kennel, so there's constant dogs barking. And so you can imagine if you're an EMS worker and you're in between what could very well be difficult calls, and you're going back to your base, and you've got hundreds of dogs barking constantly. It is far from ideal. Just a side note, I am working with the EMS Care Union rep, and to find another temporary base. And so I'd like to work with you, Director Drummond, and we've been in contact with Chief Wheeler also, because I think that we can do better for EMS and a temporary location. So the new Station 23 would have the ability in the room to house 2 EMS units, so this wouldn't be necessary. This is the site plan for the new Marion Seltzer Elementary School, as well as planned improvements to Cadell Park. So this is the entire site. The bottom right corner is where the vacant CVS is, 10022 Madison. And so this just kind of shows, what this property will look like in a few years. And so a brand new Fire Station 23 would really complement the civic nature of this entire area. And it would stabilize what has been historically an unstable area.
And
Sure.
just to clarify here.
Yes, wait a minute. You have a point, Councilman?
Yes, just to,
What?
going back to Councilman Jones' points, the ward line runs right through the middle of this park.
Okay.
That's why we've been
Thank you.
working together to make sure we're all on the same page.
Thank
So
you.
just
Go.
for clarification, Mr. Chairman, is he saying that the ward boundary is on what? Is it between the fire station, or is it between the particular property?
I'll show you. I've got this coming up. I'll go back to it.
But I wanted to see the last, because I have a question, Mr. Chairman, on the last piece because I thought it was a beautiful piece. Is that last piece, Mr. Chairman, to our distinguished council lady, is that piece a part of the parcel that Mr. Abraham has? Is this picture part of that?
If you look at, there's a blue banner across the bottom.
Can you show us?
This is the parcel.
Okay, that's the parcel in question? Okay.
This is the parcel in question.
Okay, and this is all the other developments you're already putting in place?
Yes, this is happening.
All right,
And this
it's-
is the new elementary school that's currently under construction. And once the elementary school is built, then this will.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay. Councilwoman Hudson, continue.
Thank you. And so this is a map of the rail lines. So what, people who might be unfamiliar with the neighborhood, you can't just go from north to south at every street because the blue lines represent the current rail lines through the neighborhood, and the green X's are the crossings, and these are not grade crossings. When you go to the left, to the west, those are grade crossings. The green X's represent bridges, so that you don't have to wait for trains, where you can get through at all times. So proximity to the green X's is key for response times. And in particular, you want to be as close to West Boulevard as possible, because the green X's to the east, which would be by that's Madison and West 85th. That is a very, very tight road. Their cars park on that street. It is difficult at times to get a car through West 85th Street, let alone a large fire truck. This right here shows the ward boundaries. To the left in the blue, that is Ward 12, and then Ward 11 is on the right side. And the Cadell Park is literally split down the middle. It follows the old West Boulevard that was vacated in the 1970s when they moved the Cadell Fine Arts Center to the west, and around the time that Cadell Rec Center was constructed. And so you can see that Station 23 is in my ward, but the vacant CVS property is in Councilman Shaw's ward. I also just want to point out that there are 4 homes that are on the dead-end stretch of West 100th Street. Those are my constituents. So those 4 houses represent residents who are my residents. And, from my perspective, I would not be a very good council person if I did not advocate for them, because should the owner's proposed use happen, those 4 homes would be facing the back of a strip mall, which is not really an ideal situation for homeowners. I also, this is the last slide, want to point out, I've circled the site in question, 10022 Madison, and we already know that a liquor license has been secured for this location. There are 2 other beer, wine, carry-out facilities that are a block in either direction. Just last night, there was an unfortunate incident where at the Express Food Mart, someone was shot in the back. And it kind of just goes to the heart of why we want to see, and I mean the community, because this is my neighborhood. I've lived here for the past 25 years. Why the neighborhood wants a fire station at this site and not another convenience store. We want a stabilizing entity that will be there for generations, which is what a fire station will be. It goes with the civic nature of the entire site. There are a lot of really amazing things that are going to happen with this area, and a fire station is part of that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Council Lady. Okay, to the administration, to the safety director, to the director of MOCAP, to the fire chief, is there any other additional comments you care to make?
Mr. Chairman, we have lots of information we could share. Maybe it might be best to answer through questions, but
Okay.
we do appreciate this hearing. We appreciate the public discourse. We do feel strongly that advancing this resolution is important to help ensure good use of public funds and fair negotiating on both sides of the table.
Okay. So I do have 1, 2,
Mr.
3,
Chairman.
4, 5 residents or commenters, and I will indicate Yes, Mr. Jones.
We were, I asked a question at the very beginning after the testimony of the fire station location to have questions concerning the fire station.
We're going to start the line of questioning right now.
I'm asking for clarification, that's all.
So-
So you're saying that the course of the procedure right now, we're going to allow people to come and testify?
I'm going to ask my colleagues first for a line of questioning, then I just mentioned we have 5 individuals here who would like to comment. I'm going to call upon them in a moment, but I want my colleagues to be able to ask questions first for clarification.
Thank you.
So I'm going to start with this chair, Vice Chair, Councilman Starr.
Excuse me. I will always, can we please, to the chair,
Yes.
can we please have our guests give their comments? It's 3 minutes, that's 15 minutes.
Okay.
Versus the comments of
Okay.
our colleagues.
Okay.
Because
Well-
residents, they sit here for hours, and a lot of times they just want to be heard,
Okay.
and then they want to be able to go on about their day. And we are here, we could be here all day, but
Okay.
I just really think that's a practice.
Well, then, is there any objection to reverting back to public comment? Okay, then let's go back. We'll go back. I have no problem with that. First one up is Miss Otis. Miss Otis, would you please come to the table?
Ms. Otis, are you here?
Okay. We don't have a microphone there, dear. No, we need a microphone for public, yeah. Okay, now wait a minute. Before you start, we want to make sure we time you so you get your fair amount of time. 3 minutes. So we'll tell you when you tell us when you're ready, and then so we want to make sure you get your full amount of time.
I'm ready.
Okay,
Can I go? Okay, so I listened to everybody. The first thing I'm asking you all is negotiate. Because here's the problem. CVS was for sale for several years. If the city wanted it for the fire station, they should have went and got it. Second, because I'm bothered by that whole piece. It was sitting there. I lived across the street by it. I saw it all the time on my little spy camera when I was watching folks walk up and down the street. And it was just vacant. Kids were using it, whatever. It was vacant. So it really bothers me to hear the administration sit and say, well, we've done eminent domain, and you guys are talking to the residents as if that's your goal. You're going to do eminent domain. You're not going to make a true effort to purchase. It bothers me to the core because we do need a fire station over there. I'm not here to say we don't need one. I'm here to say do it right. Don't mistreat people because the city wants smart enough to buy that property. It's about brains. That property sat there. Nikki knows. If you drove by it, you saw the sign. You saw the sign. It was for sale. So if they really wanted it, they should have went and got it. And they would have got it at a fair price. Yes, somebody wants to get paid. I would too if I was smart enough and beat you to the punch. That is what I want to say. And I'm serious about eminent domain because I keep hearing people speak. We're not speaking of that we're going to negotiate. We're speaking as if we going in, and if we don't like what they're going to say, we're going to take it. If you take it, then I need all the residents to understand they need to be prepared for something they really love in their neighborhood that might be taken away because the city decided last minute we want it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Otis. Our next speaker is from Local 93, Mr. Joe Kones.
Thank you, sir.
Wait a minute.
Council.
So we want to make sure you get your full amount of time whenever you're ready.
I'm ready when you are, sir.
Okay.
I appreciate the opportunity. I'm here to speak on behalf of the first responders and the community. We've discussed many times at this table or heard discussion on the state of our fire stations, the health and well-being of our first responders, and ensuring that they're prepared to service the communities. And when we look at the stations around the city, we look at Station 23, we look at the run volume that those crews, not only fire but EMS as well, are responding to. It's significant. That station, as has been pointing out, it's outdated. The new design factors taken into consideration, features that keep the carcinogens out of the living quarters, keep our first responders' health and safety a priority so they can return home to their families and live long and happy lives. If anybody here stops over at this station, takes the time to have lunch with the crews over there and asks them, those men and women can rattle off a number of names of people who have passed away over the years from cancer. We've heard a lot about Sean Calvey, but Brian DeGardine is another one. He retired a year later, he passed away. The fire service is experiencing increased numbers of members dying of cancer every year. It's something that we need to work towards protecting our members, and one of the big ways we can do that is ensuring that they have a safe place to station out of, a place that they can live out of, and a place that's not going to be contaminated with carcinogens. And that's why a new station is vitally important. So, thank you.
So you support the new station?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Our next speaker is Timothy Wiles, excuse me. Please come on up to the table, sir. Yes.
The last gentleman that was here, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Joe, I think he's your union representative.
Local 93.
Local 93. And the gentleman that's sitting here right now represents the property owner.
Okay, so he'll tell us that.
Just want to make sure that I want to have questions on my line of questions
Okay.
earlier about the fire station from both
Okay.
of these gentlemen.
Thank you, Counsel.
Would it be better
Mr. Wiles, go ahead.
Would it be better
Go
if I
ahead.
waited?
No,
and
go ahead.
spoke after?
Go ahead, sir.
Okay.
Because we're moving.
Yeah, not a
We're
problem at all.
moving. Okay, go ahead.
All right, thank you. Shaker Madison LLC prefers that the eminent domain ordinance.
So listen, pull the microphone and
Shaker
tell us
Madison, sorry.
who is Shaker Madison?
So my name's Timothy J. Wiles Jr. I am the Director of Development for Shaker Madison LLC.
They
Shaker
own the
Madison
property?
LLC Yes, Shaker
Okay,
Madison LLC
thank
is
you.
the property owner. We would prefer that the ordinance on eminent domain today be postponed like the Municipal Services Committee did a few weeks ago on the basis that it's premature until both sides have time to complete meaningful negotiations. Since we received the March 24th, 2026 notice of intent to acquire the property, we obtained our own appraisal. We provided that preliminary appraisal. We had a meeting on May 13th where we discussed that, and then on May 28th we provided the full appraisal with all the detail. Yesterday I had correspondence with Ms. DeGennaro. We talked about negotiations. This morning I spoke again with Ms. DeGennaro and Mr. DeRosa, and we all expressed our mutual desire to continue our negotiations. I understand that the request for eminent domain today is just preliminary, but it does feel premature until the city and its appraiser have had time to review our appraisal and discuss trying to close the gap in those two competing appraisals. The final point is that approving this ordinance, while preliminary, it may have a negative impact on our negotiations once granted, because once that happens, Shaker Madison can't enter into leases in good faith with the parties from whom it's received letters of intent for the proposed shopping plaza. Without the leases, our concern is that the city's appraiser will not consider our very feasible redevelopment plan that we have presented. And without an acknowledgement from the city's appraiser that plan is feasible and that is something based on current zoning that we could easily achieve, we're more likely to end up in litigation, and that's not going to benefit anybody. More importantly, the eminent domain, as proposed in the March 24th, 2026 notice of intent to acquire, contained language that said the whole project was subject to the mayor's veto. That creates tremendous uncertainty for Shaker Madison, and that point alone should be adequate assurance for everybody that it is Shaker Madison's preference to negotiate a voluntary sale, because if we end up in litigation and the mayor then vetoes the project, then Shaker Madison will have lost business opportunity because it won't have entered into leases, it won't generated any revenue from the site, and it will have just incurred legal fees that it will not be able to recoup. So we would ask that the committee hold off today and not grant this order, although we acknowledge it's preliminary because we think it would harm the negotiations and just push us in litigation quicker.
Time. Thank you. Thank you very much. And again, any of the speakers be prepared to come back up at the request of an individual member. Next speaker is Chairman Fahim. Yeah, tell us when you're ready.
Good morning. How y'all doing today?
Okay, I'm ready.
I'm grateful to be here. First off, I want to say thank you to the men and women that serve the city. And I do agree, a new fire station is needed, as well as the most pristine quality facilities for the men and women that dedicate their lives to maintaining safe environment for folks in the city of Cleveland. I am in support of this resolution, right, to move forward with this process of eminent domain. It's fair, it's legal, and I feel like tactics like this should be used on business owners and property owners within the city of Cleveland that attempt to extort the taxpayers' dollars. Right now, the original price that was paid for this property, as in comparison to the price that they're asking for now, is exacerbated, and it's not fair, and the taxpayers should not have to foot that cost. Now, I want everybody to do their due diligence and do an assessment of all of the properties that are owned under this LLC. In addition to the additional LLCs that these people have, these are not safe environments in our communities. We talk about the car meetups and the block parties that are happening in our city. A lot of these are happening on properties owned by these very same people. So do your homework. This is a very dangerous situation, and the change that is being pushed in certain portions of the city that historically have been violent is being undermined by business and property owners. So we're not going to let this happen. I myself, as an individual and as the leader of an organization, over my dead body, we are not going to cut this check. And so I thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Okay. Our next speaker is Dale Snyder Jr. And tell us whenever you're ready, sir.
I'm ready now.
Thank you.
First of all, thank you for everyone. Of course, thank you for the men and women that serve the community, put their lives on the line. I'm here not in regards to the fire station. I'm here in regards to the CPC grant. There was legislation that was passed. There was legislation that was put into play and was supposed to be voted on. I am calling and asking, I believe, to my understanding, that Councilman Polenzek and Council President Blaine Griffin has the right to have an emergency meeting. As we know, MPOs work in conjunction with elected officials in order for the betterment of the community. Now, I had sat up here before and mentioned something about the CPC, and Mr. Polenzek actually looked me in my eye and said, "It is not us, it is not City Council." Those were your words. Then I find out that Mr. Polenzek requested information on the legislation, information that was given to City Council 2.5 years ago, information that was given again not only 2.5 years ago, May 28th, and then all of a sudden legislation doesn't find its way on the floor to Council. Now, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I don't know why all of a sudden you want to hold MPO's feet to the fire. But we can hold track record to the fire. Councilman Polenzek, I have to say this. I have heard you say some great things about your ward and your community. I've heard you say one line that caught my attention that made me think that wow, I can work with this gentleman. You said out your mouth coming down the hallway, I got an earshot of it. You said, without education, it leads to incarceration. At the same time, it seems like you are the one that's bottlenecking this process. A process that is 3 years in the making now. You've been a council president for 48 years. You have been a council president through several administrations. You're a council president that is in a ward that is 86% black. You're in a council president in a ward that has lost one of its crowning jewels, Collinwood. You are a council president that in the 70s, Collinwood was rushed by 300 to 400 white students and stoned, and black students had to barricade themselves in. 8 years later, you became council president. Now, we can hold people's feet to the fire, but you have a track record that can be held to the fire. And I don't know if you look at.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
time.
Thank you. And I'll comment to you on that. The council president and myself are not deliberately holding anything. We asked for information. We're going to get it. We have gotten some of it. We're meeting today at 2 o'clock to discuss the issue. So get rectified. They're fine. Okay. Members, no, not at this point. Thank you. Talk to you later afterwards. I want to get into my colleagues here at this point. Yeah, I'll talk to you afterwards. Thank you. Thank you, gladly. Because I have some questions about your comments as well. So, Councilman, I want to follow proper procedure. I have the vice chair. I want to call upon Councilman Starr first, and then I will open it to all members of the committee. And again, if committee members would like to request one of the folks who have testified here from public comment, you can make that request as all.
Mr.
And
Chairman.
bring them to the table. Councilman Starr?
Mr. Chairman, on point of process, just on the point of process for clarification. So right now, the way it's going to proceed is that we've had testimony from the chief of the police, of the fire department.
Yes.
And we're going to be asking him questions about that, I presume. And then we're going to hear testimony from Mr. DeRosa and group about what the next steps are, the next processes are, or we open it to the straight floor of discussion?
Yeah, we're going to open it. You can ask questions of them.
Okay.
So right now, I have Councilman Starr. Anyone else?
I'd like to be put on,
Okay,
Mr.
yes.
Chairman.
Okay, hold on. I have Councilman Slife, Councilman Jones. Anyone else?
House Jones.
Wait a minute, hold on. House Jones? Yes, okay. And Casey. Okay. Councilman Starr.
Yes, can we
And we're
bring-
going to keep everybody to 10 minutes. Thank you. Then we have to go back. We go back. Okay.
Thank you. Can we please bring Timothy back to the table, Chair?
Local 93. Oh, excuse me. No, the owner?
Yes.
Okay. Owner's rep.
Owner's rep, correct. Some of the questions I definitely just want to be clear. If it's something that is directed and possibly the administration can answer, please chime in, and please do not give me the whole book response. Let's get straight to the point, because I want to make sure I got clarity on things that is going on, because obviously over the past couple weeks I've been looking into eminent domain, and from a standpoint of research that I found out on eminent domain and the way government has used it in the past in history in the United States, it has negative impacts on neighborhoods that I represent and the people that look like myself. So I want to make sure I'm cautious, because this was a tool that was created when African Americans did not even have the right to vote. So I want to make sure before I support something like this or do not support it, I have everything in context. But one of the things I will ask, because this seems to be, like you heard from some of the public comments, this has been an opportunity where something sat vacant right up the street from the fire station. The city knew for over 7, 8, 9, 10 years that we needed a new fire station, or not that long. Or so, from the standpoint, the city knows that they knew, or they came and found out that they needed a fire station within recent time period. Now they started looking through to different areas that is close to where the current fire station is at to be able to find something to keep it in a close proximity. Now I will ask through the chair to the director, out of all the locations in the, a 1 mile radius or something like this, have we seen any other location that can fit the description or the actual need where you want to develop a new fire station through the chair?
Whoever can answer.
Yeah, so, Mr. Chairman, first of all, to the councilman, we have looked at other locations. We cannot find another location that meets the criteria. But I do want to say, and I'll be brief, and I respect Ms. Otis's comment. The reason why we didn't look to acquire this property sooner is because through my team, Mark's staff, we've gone through a consultant process for what's called the Fire and EMS Modernization Program, which looked at all of the stations throughout our inventory and determined if we could renovate them to make them safe and productive locations, if they needed to be rebuilt, or if they could just be expanded on the same site. And so it was that process that happened over the last couple of years. It was just completed last summer that led us to believe that this particular station, through that comprehensive plan, needed a new location because it's so tight on that location.
All right, and to that point, to the state director, where fire location 23 is located, where is the next closest fire station in close proximity?
Whoever can answer that.
I don't know that off the top of my head,
Chief.
but Fire
Right,
Chief
my
can
fault.
give you that.
Chief.
Chief, my fault.
Chief? Through
Fire
the chair.
Station 33, it's at West 117th in Linnet by Halloran Park.
And that's about how far from fire station 23, estimate, rough?
About 2 to 3 miles.
2 to 3 miles? All right, definitely. Also, one of the things I would definitely ask to Mr. Timothy, the owner's rep, has the city exhausted all its efforts in negotiating a voluntary purchase with the owner for pursuing this eminent domain? Have they did everything to negotiate with you currently and your team?
I don't believe we've hit that threshold yet. We just received the city's appraisal on March 24th, or a few days after, when they sent the notice of intent to acquire. We believe that appraisal was preliminary appraisal that they received. It's really not a full eminent domain appraisal that considers the highest and best use of the property. It just considered it as a vacant CVS, which is not the standard for eminent domain. But the normal course of the way these things go would be they send us that notice, they send us that appraisal, whatever appraisal they want to send us, they can send us. We have the opportunity to get our own, which we did. We provide that to them. And then ideally, the parties sit down and have those negotiations. So I know there's been talk that there were prior negotiations, but those were not negotiations of the type that you would consider as part of an eminent domain process as to where we are now. Where we are now, we have not had a chance to fully negotiate. And so that is what I think both sides want based on our recent conversations. But that process has not played out because I think they need time to go through our appraisal with their appraiser. And then I would think the logical next step would be for all of us to meet face to face and discuss the gap in those appraisals and why and how to possibly close that gap.
All right, thank you. And from that context, what purchase price has been offered to the current owner rep, to the chair, to the owner's rep? What has been offered to you?
The most recent price that was offered was the $635,000 in the March 24th, 2026 notice of intent to acquire.
And how was that value number determined through the chair to the director? How did you come up with that $635,000 number?
So through the chairman and the councilman, so we did an original appraisal, and then in advance of making the offer to the property owner that happened this year, we went back to the appraiser and we got an update of that appraisal. The appraised amount went up from $600,000 to $635,000. So our offer, as is customary, is based upon an appraisal, our appraisal. But as Mr. Wiles said, they have now offered us their appraisal, which we will have reviewed by our appraiser. And that was just received, I think, on the 28th.
All right, and through the chair to owner's rep, how much is your appraisal value for this station?
The appraisal has a value of $1.73 million for the property as it sits today.
And that's through your appraisal?
That's through our appraiser, and then up to $2.2 million based on a property that has tenants where the renovation is completed and the tenants are occupying the space.
All right, and through the chair, definitely. So therefore, the city has done their appraisal value through an independent person, or has it been somebody in-house Through the chair to the director.
Through the chairman of the councilman, no, it was independent appraiser, and it does meet the appraisal standards that would be needed for eminent domain.
And then through the chair to the owner's rep, you also did your appraisal independent as well, right? And you got the numbers between that 1.73 to that $2.2 million value?
That is correct.
All right, through the chair to the owner's rep, what year did your owners purchase this property?
2024,
2024?
January.
January 2024. And then to the chair, to the director, I know you mentioned that the city were doing different assessments and overviews of facilities, fire, EMS. When did we complete our fire and EMS appraisal or things like that for us to understand what needs to be done for a safety plan? Through the chair.
Whoever can answer that?
We'll have Mr. Dulick
Wait,
answer.
Okay.
Thank you, Director. Through the chair to Councilman Starr. We completed the study to the point of being able to determine that we could not renovate the station on the existing site last summer.
So last summer in 2025?
That's correct.
All right, so through the chair to the table, I think we have a lot going on right here. And I will say this to the viewing public, obviously to the safety, to the fire, to the chief. I believe there's not one person on council do not believe our fire station should be upgraded. We do not believe, we are not ones who are in opposition of that. We support upgrading our fire station. We support making sure that you and your firefighters can go to work healthy and return back even healthier. But one of the things I think where we all are caught up in between the middle, the council have to make an important decision is a property owner purchased a property in January 2024. From the viewing public, we just heard from a resident who lives in the neighborhood as well, saw the property sit vacant for the last 7 years. That was what I was just saying what one of the residents said. I don't know how long it was vacant or not. She said she noticed it being vacant for a while. Somebody purchased it in 2024. And then from there, in 2025, last year, we completed our assessment stating that the fire station down the street needs a new place. And then they started to look for different things. Next thing you know, they see this area that is privately owned as a great opportunity to build a new fire station. I agree, that is a great opportunity. But where I am caught up in between is this is the land of the United States. If I bought a property and you come and tell me the city want to snatch it eminent domain without us just negotiating, I don't think it's right that you could tell me what to sell my stuff for. That's where I'm caught up in. If I purchase something and the city said, well, we need to do it and use eminent domain, that's the same reason why we have areas and blocks that are segregated today, because we use roads and infrastructure to change that. That's 10 minutes already?
Yep. You've been on a roll, okay?
No, I got some more questions because
Put you back on.
man, I would say this as I wrap up, Dan, please. I'm okay with people negotiating and doing business. I'm okay with the city doing business and negotiating with whatever they need to do for us to get to a common goal. The hardest part for me to be able to sleep at night is knowing that people can get their properties taken away just because we use a tool that I outlined earlier that divided and segregated neighborhoods. I'm not thinking this is the actual situation here, but I'm also thinking about if we go to court, and as I wrap up, who is going to be the one to pay all these legal fees if we end up in court debating something like this? And that's the biggest problem that I have, that I don't want to see us continue to use taxpayer dollars instead of just negotiating with the city and the owners to get to a resolution that makes sense.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Slife. Time yourself now.
He ain't gonna time himself like
that.
So I actually am inclined to think that the fastest and lowest cost option is to through negotiations, and that's why I asked on Monday if it was prudent for us to cap the authority at the existing asking price, knowing that there's an alternative appraisal for 1.7 million. When we start to factor in time, when we start to factor in worker safety, when we factor in the cost of litigation, it feels like there's a $700,000 cost that's avoidable by going that route versus another route. So I want to just state that again for the record. We, of course, have an obligation to the taxpayers, but I believe that don't quote me on station numbers further east of 23 because I don't know them, but at the corner of like 90th and Kinsman, that new station cost about $12 million. So this is not what the administration is seeking to accomplish. Is not an inexpensive endeavor, and I don't want us to be nickel and diming, this aspect of it. And again, I think everyone's in agreement that a new station is needed. Could you speak, Director DeRosa, you had mentioned the criteria. This is a part of the city where there's not a lot of vacancy. It's the most densely populated part of all of Cleveland. So I would like for you to be able to speak to the criteria for what's needed for a new site and how that aligned with your search of just available properties and unavailable properties. Like what are we trying to solve for, and what's the environment that we have?
Yes,
Who could answer?
and I'll have Mark Dooley answer that question. Just for the point of comparison, the current fire station is on 0.44 acres, if I'm off maybe a little bit, and the CVS is about double that at about 0.88, which is tight but would work with a two-story fire station. So, Mark, if you could go through the criteria for us.
Thank you, Director. Through the chair to Councilman Slife. Thank you for the question. I will preface by saying that the siting of a fire station among all the different facilities that we do assessments for sites faces the most constraints just because of the nature of call response times for both EMS and fire. That constraint alone, which there's a program some of you may have heard of called the Deccan program, that creates a score, and that establishes what the current response times and the current levels of service for fire and EMS are for all of the stations in the city and the stations for fire and EMS as a system. But when we get down to location, we obviously want it to be as close as possible. But to answer your question about the criteria is pretty much all of the above. It is obviously the area, as Director DeRosa mentioned. We usually like about 2 acres for a single-story station that has a minimum of 3 bays, has the separation of the zones into these compartments, has adequate firefighter parking, and has the ability to pull through from the rear to the back, not to mention having both the front and rear apron. These are all operationally essential and kind of the core criteria for how we actually choose a site. Given that, because of the nature of the width needed for the apparatus bay, the depth needed for the apron, the rear depth needed for the pull-through and the rear apron, as well as the amount of site area needed for parking, and ideally we have room for stormwater management, especially when the site's over an acre. So that's just the physical criteria. So a lot of the sites that we looked at and that we evaluated that were even close to this, one way or another they failed. They didn't have enough area. They just aren't big enough. They just aren't deep enough. They just aren't wide enough. The ability to pull through as well, unless we have actually 2 streets, that's one of the bigger contingencies for building a new station as well. So having that extra depth that allows us to do that, but also a corner location that allows us to come off one street and pull through at 90 degrees to the back of the station is another criteria.
Okay. Has this body received any sort of summary of that analysis? And could that be provided? I think that it would be an important item for the record just to demonstrate that what has been, that this you are saying a determination was made and this was done through a critical analysis. I think it'll be important to show the work. Through the chair, maybe to the fire chief, is there a standard or goal for so a call comes in and from a maximum call to arrival on scene, like how many minutes we are trying to, like within 5, 6, 7 minutes, like that an apparatus can be on scene after call is received? Is there a definitive number citywide that we aim for?
through the chair to the councilman, we do track our response times. We actually track them weekly, and we go year by year to see how they compare. Right now, we're just in general tracking them throughout the whole city. We're not tracking individual stations. We can look to track individual stations. We do rely on a turnout time, and what we mean by that, when the call comes in, how quickly we're on the apparatus, and we hit en route, and we're on our way to that incident. So for a medical call, it would be 60 seconds from notification. For a fire call, it would be 90 seconds, just the time for the individuals to get their gear on before they hop onto the apparatus.
Okay, and thank you. That's a helpful clarification. Do you know what that citywide number is recently? Where does it kind of, obviously it's going to move, but where is it dancing around?
But I can pull up some data, would just be for the different type of calls that we respond to.
Okay.
That's how we break it out.
The reason I'm asking is because there's been a number of questions about the next closest station, and I know that I just looked it up on Google. It's an 8-minute drive from station 23 to station 33, so they're not too far as the crow flies, but again, you're driving through the most densely populated part of the city of Cleveland, and now you also have to account for the people who live on the far side of station 23, and they would be a 10, 11-minute drive from the next closest fire station. So I think it'd be useful for us to understand what goals we're trying to hit and how call volume and response times would shift based on locations shifting and how that plays into the analysis as well. I probably only have a little bit of time left. I have 3 minutes left. So I want to make sure that I understand intimately the eminent domain process. So we're here for a resolution. You explain the purpose of the resolution. If this is to pass, it would be followed by an ordinance. Who makes the determination of the monetary value of what a property owner would receive through eminent domain? Is that a judge and the jury, or is that because within the legislative summary, there's been a lot of numbers thrown around. There's a estimated value, appraised value of $635,000. So we're trying to figure out when eminent domain occurs, we're obligated to make the property owner whole. Who determines the value of what is whole?
Okay, who can answer that if you can?
So first, through the chairman of the councilman, so if this resolution passes today, just a reminder, this still needs to go to committee of the whole in July. So nothing would happen after today until July when it would pass committee of the whole. At that point in July, we could introduce the ordinance to appropriate, which again wouldn't pass if council wishes, wouldn't pass until August. So we have plenty of time between now and then to continue negotiations, as Mr. Wiles suggests is appropriate, and we agree. But with that, I think Commissioner DeGennaro can speak to the difference between the magistrate and the jury trial that would come through eminent domain.
Ms. DeGennaro?
Yes, thank you. I also want to just a point of clarification. So this resolution has to be adopted and served on any party with an interest in the property before the ordinance to appropriate can pass. So I just wanted to point that out. So in my previous experience with having attended a trial, a court proceeding at which eminent domain was used by the city, there were a number of meetings that we had with the property owner. They were allowed to present their evidence of their opinion of value of the property. The city, based on our appraisal, presents our evidence, and the magistrate weighs that evidence. There's a lot of back and forth. The goal is not to go to a jury trial because that can really draw out the process. Yes. So, the magistrate, in my experience, really tries to get the parties to come to agreement. But both sides are given the opportunity to present their evidence.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I'll wrap up by just kind of repeating it sequentially. Resolution, we would pass an ordinance. The ordinance would basically kick this towards the judicial system, and the determination of the value would be, evidence would be presented by both parties, but ultimately decided upon by either a magistrate or a jury. So in that case, if the city's saying, if the city's saying 635,000 and the property owner is saying as high as 2 million, it could be anywhere between those two poles or outside of those poles. It would be the determination of the judicial branch, and we can't really anticipate what that number is here or within this legislative process.
Yes, correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for keeping time. Okay, Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to, start out with where Mr. Slife had left
Yes.
off. We were explained to by the administration how the process works in terms of eminent domain. I'd like to, Mr. Chairman, ask the attorney who's sitting here representing the person, what would that mean? What would that look like if you have to go through the eminent domain process? And the reason why I asked this, Mr. Chairman, because we just got through talking about peace legislation yesterday. Where we spent a great deal of time talking about the airport piece, and one of the things that I found really interesting, and I told the director he's a great law firm. At least this director has really started shaping some stuff up where they only spent $35,000 on legal fees, but then Brook Park had to spend $2 million, and now Brook Park is sitting here at the table asking us to reimburse them their $2 million of legal fees. So I know that the legal process, Mr. Chairman, is weighted. If you don't have a lot of money, you're gonna have problems. And so the reason why we're sitting here is because the previous council member, let's deal with the big elephant in the room. The previous councilman went to this person, this investor, and asked them to build them a gas station. It became political. We even had people I hadn't seen in years, ex-presidents of council weighing in on the issue. So this is a really political issue. I would suggest to the administration to not put a gun at the head of the negotiations, and I certainly don't think that moving down the direction, Mr. Chairman, of eminent domain is good. It's saying that, to me, that we're going to get what we want anyway. And I don't think that this council, should be weighing in, giving the administration a gun, and we haven't even began the proposition of negotiations. And a part of this is the culpability of the council, because it was a councilman who went to ask for this investor to invest. And so now we're here left cleaning up the mess that was made by a previous councilman. And so when we sit here and talk about the fire station, it was thrown in here. I'm sorry that you're a pawn in this, but you are, because we didn't hear anything about no fire station being at this location ever until this man bought this property. And then all of a sudden, we want to put a fire station here. And with that, I'd like to turn it over and you explain to me what that would mean for you if you go through that process.
Through the chair, thank you.
Thank you. So for the property owner, what that would mean is we would hire outside counsel as trial counsel, because I would obviously be a fact witness at this point with my involvement. And that's why my involvement here is as the development director for the company, not to pursue litigation, but to pursue a resolution. So the first step, if an eminent domain proceeding is initiated against the property owner, we would retain outside counsel. We would immediately start incurring substantial legal fees. We would go through the process. If we are successful to the extent that the court agrees that the value of the property is substantially higher than the value that the city has offered, then we would be entitled to recoup our legal fees. But our greater concern, frankly, is that the project as proposed is subject to a veto. So we could end up going through the eminent domain process for a period of time, have the project vetoed, have the case dismissed, have lost opportunity for rent and development on the property, all the while paying property taxes and insurance, and then also having a substantial amount of legal fees. So our concern is that if this is truly a politically charged issue and the intent is just to keep this property from being developed, and let's say, for example, the preference is to have this property added to an existing park structure or for some other purpose beyond a fire station, we would be in the middle of that. We would bear the brunt and the cost of that. And then the city would have no obligation to buy the property from us, and it would cause grievous economic harm. And that is why, despite having received the notice, we have continued to try to develop this property, because we can't sit idle. We incur costs every day. So we've already been delayed. Our proposal was held up in landmarks since October of '25. So the litigation piece is big, and it would cost us a lot of money, but we've already lost a lot of money and opportunity. So we are motivated to negotiate and reach a resolution, and we just would like an opportunity to do that before things head down the eminent domain path in a way that can't be reversed. More importantly, just very briefly, if we have a couple of meetings and we meet with our appraisers collectively and we can't reach a resolution, then they can come back and they can ask for the resolution that will lead to the ordinance. They're not going to lose any time in doing that. That can be done quickly, and quite frankly, after we have those negotiations, I don't think I'd be able to come back here in front of you and ask you to postpone that resolution any longer, because we would have had that opportunity.
Thank you. Mr. Jones?
And Mr. Chairman, and let's cut straight to it, right? Let's deal with the situations at hand, talking about a fire station. Now, my colleague, Richard Starr, eloquently asked the question, which I thought was amazing, was a fire station, how close is the nearest fire station, blah, 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 blah. So right now, we're talking about this fire station. What fire station is this one, 33? Is that correct? 43?
23.
23? Is this 23 or 43?
23.
Okay. So next to Fire Station 23, we have Fire Station 38, Fire Station 33, and you have Fire Station 23, Fire Station 3. You also have Fire Station 39 and Fire Station 43. And when you start looking at all these fire stations, they're less than 5 miles radius of each other. And so I asked that question earlier yesterday about how many fire stations was over there. And so now the next question is in terms of the logistics, the safety, and everything like that. Now, I've been asking for my fire station to be moved, and my fire station is not as big as this one. So now let me ask you this question. You know, how old is this fire station? And then the next question is, when the property was made available next to this fire station, the property was being sold, why didn't we pick that property up? And it would have been $500,000. And so can somebody tell me why?
Whoever can answer
And that's
that.
right next to the fire station. You could expand it on the existing site. You could have towed it one down and rebuilt over there. And then I also looked at explored other territory in that area where you can also put, and I don't mind sitting down because it'd be too much a conversation. I don't want to spend my 10 minutes. But I'll sit down with you and tell you where you can go and get another fire station right next to it, right in that same geographical area.
Thank you. Whoever cared respond to Mr. Jones's question.
Yes, so Mr. Chairman, are you suggesting that we don't need a fire station at this location? I wasn't
I
sure
support
what you're
the fire
saying.
station, Mr. Chairman, because it's a political pond, but my colleagues want it, and I stood up on the floor of Cleveland City Council and told everyone who could hear that I support my council person, Nikki Hudson, and the decisions she makes in her neighborhood. What I'm sharing with you is that you had a property right next door to the fire station you could have purchased and expanded that, and there's other properties over there, so I don't know why you're so hard-pressed to say that you actually fundamentally need this property when you have other properties that you can purchase all around that entire geographical location, and they'll fall all over the place for the $600,000 or $500,000 you want to give this man. And I can give those locations to you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if you could give those locations to us, that would be helpful. And to the listening public, if anyone wants to sell us their property that's not currently up for sale,
Right next door.
Let's
please
up through
let
the
us
chair,
know.
please. Go ahead.
And,
Right next door, Mr. Chairman.
So with regard to the property next door, there is a one-story building that is attached to a multi-story building that's on the corner immediately adjacent to the fire station. That is a very substantial building that would have a very substantial demolition cost. Not only the fact that it is currently occupied, there's a daycare in the first floor immediately adjacent to the fire station.
But
And
it was
just
for sale.
recently we looked into whether if we acquired just that first story portion of it, could we keep the fire station in the same location and expand it onto that portion, not taking down the multi-story building that really, contributes to the historic nature of the area, but just the one-story building is not enough land to give us the amount of land that we need to rebuild
I don't
on
mind
that current
talking about
stage.
that later, Mr. Chairman, because I can give you some site locations. When I got involved, when getting up on the floor and talking to Mrs. Hudson, I went to go do my homework. And so I can share that with you, but I don't want to spend my time
Thank you.
on that right now. But
Thank
there
you.
are substantial, Mr. Chairman, locations that we can develop and build over in that area. And because this person has, and that's the reason why I say let's be fair. Now, Mr. Chairman, I want to ask this gentleman right
Well,
here a series
just
of
wrap it up
questions.
because you're at
And then I
10
will go
minutes.
back on 10 minutes again.
Okay.
And maybe another
Thank-
10 minutes.
Thank
So
you.
now, Mr. Chairman, my question to the gentleman, did your person, because I want for the official record, who approached your person to invest in that area?
Okay, thank you. Please respond to the collective body.
Yes. Through the chair, my understanding is that it was the former council person from that ward that approached the property owner to acquire the property.
Thank you very
And
much.
at that time, Mr. Chairman, was there any discussions and talk about a fire station to your knowledge?
Through the chair, to my knowledge, there was not.
Okay, thank you,
And Mr.
Councilman.
Chairman-
Councilman, your time is up, sir.
Well, I'd like to go
Okay,
back on 10
you will
minutes.
put you back on. I'll put you back on. Thank you. Councilwoman Stephanie House Jones.
Thank you. Through the chair to the attorney representing the group, you just indicated that the former council person approached your client for the development project. Since there is a new person in the area, has your client had a conversation about the development projects with the new council person?
Yes, yes,
Yes.
with Councilmember Shaw.
Yes, correct.
Yes.
And through the chair to the attorney, what was the conversation as it related to the actual development proposal of that?
I was not privy to that conversation, so I wouldn't be comfortable
Okay.
saying that.
Councilman Shaw, you are here. So I just asked a brief question. Can you tell very briefly, in meeting with the new owners, what did they indicate that they were going to do as far as the development of the site?
Councilman Shaw.
What was going to be included in it?
After I got sworn in, I've made it clear I'm always happy to meet with folks. Met with the developers. They indicated that they were not in favor of having a fire station here. They wanted to move forward on a commercial strip with multiple tenants, having retail walk-up uses. They were open to potential other uses. One of the things I suggested was putting in an affordable grocery place because that's one of the things we need in this neighborhood. However, they were not willing to sell that parcel. They wanted to rent it, and there are not any operators that they were aware of that would be willing to come in to do that piece. Which has been, so that's at least what I can provide.
Thank you, Councilman.
Okay. So I think just to highlight about how at one point the developer was approached from one council person. They are not there anymore, so a new vision has come into place. And the question I really wanted to ask specifically about, did we have the conversation about the liquor license at this site? Did you all have any type of conversation?
Mr. Councilman Starr?
Wait, are you asking?
Shaw, excuse me.
As of right now, there is no liquor license attached to this, is my understanding. However, the LLC has a liquor license at another place, which they could transfer. But I've not been privy or been keyed in on any of the redevelopment portion. I've always made it clear that approval process goes through another independent body in the city. That is not something that I've been trying to influence or be a part of.
Okay. All right. So, okay. Well, I'm gonna say this. So, just looking in general for the ownership, we are talking about eminent domain, and there have been conversations about how eminent domain has been used specifically to take African Americans' property, and I really think we need to bring this in context. It is much different to take someone's property for a development when you have historical connection and investment in a community. Comparatively to, as one of our guests talked about, of how people have which I will refer to as colonizing ways, where they intentionally see what is happening in a community, they buy up land, and then they try to extract the resources from a community. And I'm going to go into it. When you look up the company who has purchased this property in 2024, this is not generational investment in a community. We talking about zip code 44102. We are someone who saw a movement, got something, and we are here. But when you look at the company is based, I believe, in North Royalton. When you ask people, well, what is the African-American population in North Royalton? Most people can't tell you what it is. It's 1.7%. Compared to in the city of Cleveland, the African-American population is around 47%. When we look in zip codes, North Royalton's zip code is 44133. So that's about, I think, population around 31,000 in North Royalton. And zip code 44102, there's about 40,000 people. And I was bringing about the liquor license because I don't know what's happening. But I asked people, how many, if people do not know, how many liquor licenses are in the city of North Royalton? In zip code 44133, the answer is 19. 19 liquor licenses, right? Beer, wine, liquor, or whatever. That is a ratio of one liquor license per 1,631 residents in North Royalton. When you look up the zip code 44102, does anybody know how many liquor licenses are in 44102? Probably don't have an idea. In 44102, there are 295 liquor licenses in that zip code. That is a ratio of one liquor license per 136 residents. And so we as a city have to be very clear on what development looks like. And I understand people want to make money, and that can't be the only factor in these things. It is about what is the quality of life for the people in the city of Cleveland. If we are trying to attack generational poverty and raise a level up, because like I said, the person who owns this company, they eating good. They living good. They don't have to live in the conditions that individuals in 44102 do. North Royalton don't allow strip club, a strip mall next to people, a strip mall that's directly across from where people are living. They don't allow to the concentration that we have to deal with. And if we don't have a real plan to turn Cleveland around, to raise the standard of living, then we're going to always have, it's always going to be problems. Listening to this conversation, it has been very clear that council members don't talk to one another. Council members don't talk to the administration. The administration do whatever. Business owners ain't talking to, everybody just doing their own thing. And there is not one clear plan on how we are going to raise our conditions in our city. And like I said, when it comes to the eminent domain, I think it is absolutely absurd to talk about eminent domain in this context compared to what has been done to African Americans. That is not what we got going on here. And many times, if we are trying to do eminent domain for good, then we absolutely should do it for good. And this is not one of those things where you are trying to take somebody's property who has had historical investment in a community that has been enriching a community. And I don't want to hear anything about jobs. When you ask it, when you can look into this company, which I haven't done that research, but specifically looking at what are the types of jobs that this corporation has been doing. Are they paying family sustaining wages? Are they, do their employees have benefits? Do their employees have retirement benefits? Are the workers who are part of these business dealings having the opportunity for home ownerships to be invested in communities? So all businesses are not equal, and I think we are playing ourselves to say going to bat for corporations that are not good stewards. Shout out to Atlanta Mayor, the Andre Atlanta Mayor that talks about having mayors is talking about for as much as we are investing and being in partnership with businesses who want to make money, if you don't have the same energy when it comes to investment socially and consciously, no thank you for the business. That should be a frame mind of the city of Cleveland. In a place, like I said, where that business in North Royalton, like I said, the ratio of liquor licenses, 1 to 1,631 people compared to in this zip code, 1 to 136 people, we need to do better. And that's all I'll say on this.
Thank you, Council Lady.
May I respond to
yes,
some
sir,
of
you
those
may, if
accusations?
Briefly, go ahead, sir.
So I have no issue with the social commentary you provided and the very serious and important issues that you identified. But the company's base is not North Royalton. It's Cleveland. The letter that we provided and the address for the company is 4620 West 196th Street, Cleveland, Ohio, 44135. The company is a property company. We own real estate. We plan to lease the real estate to a pizza shop, to a coffee shop, to a cell phone shop, to a convenience store. Those are typical mixes in a retail shopping center.
Thank you.
The city of North Royalton does allow retail shopping centers adjacent to residential properties, so your statement's not true. I know from firsthand experience that I have a site that I'm working on with a client that we're developing that literally abuts residential property, and a grocery store is going to go there. So,
Let me be
Go
clear.
ahead, go, Ms. Hiles.
In response to that, when I said North Royalton, when you look at the property and when you look at where the tax billing goes to, it goes to North Royalton.
Thank you.
Which means someone who is associated with this company, it lives in North Royalton. And when you look at it in the proximity across the street or down the street, you do not see strip malls. You do not see places that have drive-ins, things that are in this zip code of 44102. So let me be very clear.
Thank
The
you.
tax billing goes to North Royalton, and whoever is associated with this company, directionally leadership is living good in a very different context than with the residents of Cleveland and zip
Thank
code 44102.
Thank you. Thank you. Just one last question. I guess Councilman Casey's up next. Mr. Wiles, what did your client, Shaker Madison, pay for the property?
So you're asking kind of a complex question because Ibrahim Shahida is the current owner of Shaker Madison LLC.
Okay.
But he was not the owner of the company at the time the property was acquired. So there's been talk that there was an acquisition by the prior owner. I have no involvement with the prior owner. I don't know what the prior owner paid. My understanding is it was more than the reported $575,000 for real estate because there was personal property included.
So the
but
company that you're representing, Shaker Madison, what did they pay for the property?
I don't know exactly. I know it was reported publicly, but I know what Mr. Shahida paid for the full ownership interest in the company, which he started out and he bought 50% and then he bought the other 50%. And his total acquisition cost is $1.375 million, and that is before carry costs such as property taxes, insurance, maintenance, et cetera.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Casey, Councilman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, to the director, according to the county land bank records, what was this property last sold for?
Mr. Chairman, to the councilman, so according to the county recorder's website, the property transfer was at $575,000.
When?
Oh, the date, I believe, was January 2nd of 2024.
And then, Mr. Chairman, to the director, the city of Cleveland has made offers to the current owner, correct?
That is correct, through the
And
chairman.
have we made more than one?
Through the chairman and the councilman, so we did make an initial offer, and that offer was the 575 plus. We had been represented by the property owner that they had personal property. They had more costs that should be included. So we gave them the ability to document those costs for a total of $1,025,000. And that's what the amendment to the ordinance we passed on Monday reflected, was that original offer amount. When we made the offer this year, we had an updated appraisal, and as is the requirement, you make an offer of the appraised value. So that appraisal was $635,000. That was the amount of the offer that we just made.
Okay, so we have offered them $635,000, correct?
Yes, that was the most recent offer that we made to them.
Did we ever offer them the $1,025,000?
Yes, we did make an offer letter to them, and that offer was contingent upon, city council authority for the offer amount, but the offer date was February 12th of 2025. And the new offer of $35,000 was on March 24th of 2026.
Thank you. Any
Okay,
Councilman Casey?
so on January 2nd of 2024, the property was bought, Mr. Chairman, to the director, according to the county land bank, the county recorder's office, for $575,000. On February 12th of 2025, 13 months later, the city made an offer of 1.025 to the owner, and it was turned down, correct?
That is correct. They verbally turned down the offer.
Okay. And then March 24th of 2026, a little over 2 years later, the city made an offer of $635,000, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So, Mr. Chairman, to the director, as far as eminent domain comes, it's not like we're just trying to take somebody's property, correct? I mean, we're attempting here to make what I would say is more than a fair market value when there was according to the county recorder's office, a purchase for $575,000. Less than 13 months later, $1.025 million was offered, and it was not accepted. That is correct, right? So it's not like through eminent domain we're coming in here just to take the property from somebody. We're in negotiations in an attempt to purchase the property, correct?
Mr. Chairman, that's correct. And we have had, through Commissioner DeGennaro and her staff, many sit-downs with the property owner to review various documents. And then when Councilman Shaw came in, probably one of the first the first conversation I had with him was, hey, I want to reach out to the property owner. Would you be willing to sit down? And so he had a conversation with them, and we've had re-engaged after Councilman Shaw came into the picture, and we've had sit-downs with them as well.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Chairman, to the
Yes.
director, it's not like, I just want to dispel this notion that eminent domain is that we're just coming in here stealing or taking somebody's property without them having benefiting from that in some way, shape, or form, correct?
That's absolutely correct, through the chairman.
And more than double the purchase price within 13 months, to me, seems a little excessive for me, but I understand, right? Mr. Chairman, to the director, are we accumulating legal fees for this, or is this all being done in-house?
Through the chairman and the councilman, this is all be done in-house with our internal staff.
Okay, so we as a city are not accumulating any legal fees.
That is correct.
Okay, and then Mr. Chairman, to Director Drummond, the average expectancy of a call from a fire department, I believe, is 4 minutes per the order, or what's standard. Am I correct in saying that?
The chair, I want to make sure I give you accurate information. The chief is better suited to answer that question.
Or the chief. I'm sorry, chief. I forgot he was here.
Our typical response time is around 5 minutes.
Okay, 5 minutes.
Yes.
And for those of us who know the West Side, right, and aren't going to speculate and grew up and have lived there our whole lives, we know that it would definitely take more than 5 minutes to go from 98th and Madison to 117th and Linnet, knowing that there's not a direct, the quickest way would have to be West Boulevard to Lorraine, down 117th. And we know that it would take absolutely, even with lights and sirens, more than 5 minutes for a truck to travel that distance, let alone if that 23 wasn't there and we'll just say 33 had to respond to Edgewater, we know it would take probably 15 minutes to get from 33 to the Edgewater neighborhood. Or even if we were to use, what's the next one? 39 at CAMS. You know, it's not like we're over and saturated with firehouses on the west side of the city, let alone the way you have to travel through the west side being divided by the highways and everything. Everywhere you go, you've got to take some sort of residential street, side street, to get to wherever it is you're going. So I know that 2.2 miles sounds like it's very close, but when we're listing certain fire station numbers and you're lifting one at 158th and Lorraine, and you're also listing another one down on Pearl Road or West 33rd and Lorraine, it's not like you can just, you know, flip a switch and get there, you know, quickly. These fire stations are strategically placed on the west side so that we can have a response time, Mr. Chairman, to the chief in less than 5 minutes. So this location is an integral part of making sure that residents who live on the west side, specifically in the Cadell, Edgewater neighborhoods, do get that response that everybody else gets in the city of Cleveland. So that's all I had, Mr. Chairman, but I just wanted to make sure that we reiterated that we're not just coming in and stealing somebody's property, that we are in good faith negotiating. We've already offered more than double almost, close to double what the county recorder says. Whatever deal was made, you know, off the record that or off the books has nothing to do with us. We can only go with what's been recorded in the recorder's office. And I just wanted to reiterate again the importance of this fire station, because as Councilwoman House Jones said, not one person sitting in this room would want to live in the conditions that the firemen of 23 are living in right now. Not one of us in this room would spend 24 hours in that house. I've been to that house a number of times. I know the condition of the house. I know that it needs a new house. And anybody who thinks that it doesn't need to be done, I would invite them. I'd go with you to stay 24 hours in the house and see if you have a different opinion after you wake up. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilman. I have Councilwoman Hudson, Jones, and then Shaw will be our last
Mr. Chairman,
speaker.
may I respond just briefly, 30 seconds?
We didn't ask for a response. Thank you. Councilwoman Hudson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A
Keep time.
question for the attorney. You mentioned that your client purchased the business through the chair. Did that business interest come with the liquor license?
No, the LLC interest was purchased.
Okay, because is there a liquor license associated with 10022?
Through the chair.
Through the
Thank
chair,
you.
is there a liquor license associated with 10022 Madison?
I'm not aware that there is, but I did not handle the liquor license process to the extent that there was one, so I couldn't answer that for you.
Okay, I do know that there is a liquor license associated with the property. It's permit number 7154956. It was transferred from 1922 Abbey Market, and it was transferred right around the same time that the property was purchased. Actually, it was transferred before the property was purchased, December 11th, 2023, to Race Fuel 1991, Inc., DBA Race Fuel 10022 Madison Avenue. I have a copy of the liquor license if anybody would like to see it.
That was probably in connection with the anticipated gas station, but I'm glad that you brought that up, because if that is a true fact, I'd ask that you provide it, because that would actually increase the value of the property.
So assuming that's part of the business that your client purchased, because the property was purchased for $575,000. So
A liquor license is separate from the real estate, and it's separate from the ownership interest in the company that owns the real estate.
Okay,
They would all be separate.
And through the chair, what else would be included in the ownership interest, other than the property?
When you buy the ownership interests, you effectively, if you buy all of the ownership interests, as Mr. Shahad has done, then you own everything that the company owns.
Okay, and through the chair, what else does the company own besides 10022 Madison?
I do not have a complete list of assets, and I wouldn't be comfortable giving you a partial answer today.
Okay, and through the chair, I just want to state that the CVS at this site was closed in 2022. So it was open until 2022. So the longest the property that's 4 years ago now. So it has not been sitting vacant for 7-8 years. CVS was operating on this site until 2022. So, and the property was purchased in January of 2024. So it sat vacant for less than 2 years before it was purchased, with the intention of becoming a gas station, which was specifically prohibited by the zoning for this area, which is under a pedestrian retail overlay. I also, through the chair, would like to state the legal requirements for eminent domain, in particular good faith negotiations, which, it is required by eminent domain that there are good faith negotiations between the government and the property owner. So the property owner may offer evidence of property value to the condemning authority. However, the duty of good faith does not require the condemning authority to accept a landowner's proposal that has no support in the marketplace. Nor does it require a never-ending cycle of offer and counteroffer when there is no reasonable prospect of reaching an agreement. Through the chair, to Ms. DeGennaro, the original offer that was made to Shaker Madison LLC, you said that was in 2025. What month again was that?
Through the chair, February.
So the original offer was made in February of 2025, and it was turned down, and
Correct.
then through the chair, the next offer in March of 2026. That's over a year later. So that means that negotiations were open and available for over a year, during which time the property owner decided to come up with a new use for the property, knowing full well that the city would like to acquire the property to become a fire station. Did you have reason to believe that the negotiations had stalled out?
Yes. And honestly, my assumption was there was a lawsuit pending regarding the zoning. So our assumption was that the owner wanted to wait until that was resolved.
And through the chair, thank you for bringing that up. What was the ultimate, do you know the result of the lawsuit regarding the zoning?
Yes, it was an appeal, an administrative appeal of a Board of Zoning Appeals decision denying a variance for the proposed gas station. And it was filed in July of 2024 and was, there was an opinion or a decision rendered in November of 2025 stating that the denial of the zoning variance was to stand.
Okay, thank you. So the property owners were waiting to find out the results of their appeal about the gas station, and when they found out they lost, instead of going back to the city and saying, "Hey, now we'll talk about buying about your offer to buy the property for a fire station," instead, through the chair, they decided to go through a new process and come up with a new use for the property?
Through the chair, yes, that's correct. When we were speaking with them over the course of, roughly fall of 2024 through November of 2025 when the lawsuit was resolved. They did mention the concept of just leasing the property out without the gas station, but it was very vague. There weren't any definite plans on their part until my understanding is that in October of 2025 they approached the Landmarks Commission with this current proposal.
Okay, thank you. And I know that the property owner's representative mentioned that it was introduced in Landmarks and then nothing happened for many months. Do you know why there was a delay?
I'm through the chair. I don't. I'm not sure when. I'm not sure. And perhaps the owner's rep could answer this. I'm not sure if the gas station proposal was presented to Landmarks or if it was the current proposal for a strip mall.
Okay. Can you answer that question? Do you know? To the property owner's representative.
Thank you.
My understanding was the proposal in October of 2025 was for a strip center redevelopment, and we were not required to go back to the city after the gas station proposal was turned down or the legislation or the administrative appeal was lost. And the duty of good faith negotiations is triggered once the eminent domain notice is received, not prior to that. So you're conflating these things. And the offer in February of 2025, they did not have authority to make that offer. There's no legislation that I can see. So you're characterizing this as though we refused to negotiate, we didn't get our way, we tried to do something else. And that's just not true. We have every right to try to redevelop the property. And until that eminent domain notice was received, there's no duty for my client to go back and try to negotiate a nebulous deal that doesn't have approval, that isn't designed, that literally does not exist.
Okay, thank you.
And the value of the property and the fair market value determination has nothing to do with the acquisition cost. You should review the process and understand it, because everybody here, not everybody, but many people have talked about, oh, well, that's almost twice the money. That's great. Well, you know what? If my client had made a terrible decision and paid $10 million for the property, and you wanted to go into eminent domain, you would not have to pay $10 million. You'd pay the fair market value based on the highest and best use for a feasible project, and that is all we are asking for. So what was paid is irrelevant for that determination, and you're conflating these things in an unfair way.
Not conflating anything through the chair. And so for fair market value, should the developers provide adequate representation of what was paid for the property, then would the city be willing to pay that amount?
Yes.
Whoever can answer that.
Yes, and we have requested, the city has requested documentation that would justify the fair market value that the owner is asserting, and we haven't received anything.
And when did you request that through the chair? When did you originally request that information?
That was, we started conversations with a previous representative of the owner in fall of 2024 and had several meetings with them. They did show us some documentation. Specifically, there was a lease with Shell Oil. We weren't able to keep any of that documentation.
That's for the gas station through
Yes.
the chair.
Yes.
And through the chair, and I'll end here. The longer that time has gone by, how has the negotiating price gone? Like from the owner's representative, the more time that's gone by, what has their property valuation gone to?
Through the chair, it's been fairly consistent at and these were verbal numbers that were being discussed, again, with a different representative of the owner. At one point, the owner's rep said, 1.6, 1.7 would probably be sufficient. But again, there was a lawsuit pending that may have given the owner the opportunity to develop the property for
Thank you.
Through the chair, but now we're at 2.2.
Correct.
Thank you, Councilor. I have Councilman Jones, then Shaw, and then we're going to call for a vote. Councilman Jones.
Mr. Chairman, this is a complicated situation, and the real reason why we're sitting here is because we want this to be a fair process.
Yes.
And when politics get into it, it makes it a messy mess. And so there's a couple of things I want to dispel because I don't want to wear the jacket. And so when someone says something, moving forward, I'm just going to check you. And so the first check here is that council has no authority. If I was a state representative, I would have fought on the issue as a state representative. Has no authority to initiate or to distribute liquor license. It comes from the state of Ohio. The state of Ohio is the bad guy and putting all of these liquor establishments in the minority community in particular. So with that being said, we do not have any control as elected officials as it relates to liquor licenses. And I want that to be clear because I've had to say that a couple of times in my meetings when the state arbitrarily went ahead and put a liquor license in my neighborhood I didn't like, and I fought against it, and I lost. And so with that being said, the second issue, Mr. Chairman, is the number of fire stations. And I asked that question here, and I wasn't given the truth. Now, anybody who has a smart tablet or smartphone can Google this. I Googled it, and I just Googled it here and counted. We have 10 fire stations on the west side of the city of Cleveland. That doesn't, in a 5-mile radius. That does not include Lakewood, Fairview Park, Rocky River, Palmer, and Brooklyn. And so when you add them all together, it's 13 fire stations on the west side of town. Now, when you look at and compare how many square footage space I got over at my fire station, this fire station, I guarantee you this fire station was my fire station because I'd already looked at the projected photograph of the 2 fire stations. And so what I will say, and I want to make sure I'm clear on this, I support my colleagues. I support the fire station if that's what the city wants. If the political will of the city is to put a fire station here and it was a politically motivated proposition because they didn't want to have a gas station, that's okay. I'll work with the administration on that. I don't have a problem. But sitting here as a member, I have a moral obligation to do what's right. And this gentleman is not handled in the proper and fair way I thought he should have been handled as it relates to his property. There was a property right behind my house, and it was a property that was vacant, much as this is a residential. And it was sold for $80,000. This man came back and stayed on the market and didn't do nothing to the property. Came right on back, and within less than, I would say, several days, doubled his value on his investment. Sold that property for over $200,000. I couldn't believe that it was sold for that price tag, as is, and wasn't in a good condition at all when I looked at it. And so what it will say is that we are in a market zone now where investors are investing in properties. And if you get an opportunity to get a property at a steal, that doesn't mean that that value is going to be the same it was since he brought it back, 2 years ago. So let me just say this. And these are some series of questions that I want to ask the gentleman, because I said this here at the table. If you live in the city of Cleveland, we should be supporting you, especially if you're a good operator and owner. Now, let me say this. Where does, Mr. Chairman, does this gentleman live?
I believe he lives in the city of Cleveland.
Okay. What's his address?
I believe his address is the address on our letterhead and applications, which is the 4620 West 196th Street, Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay, through the chair, gentlemen. Thank you.
So I've done my homework. I know where he lives at. Now, how many properties does he own on that street?
That I do not know.
Well, he owns several of them. Do you know how much he paid for his house?
I don't know his
He built
personal.
it from the ground up. Do you know what neighborhood he lives in?
I do not.
He lives in Charlie Slife's neighborhood. He's a citizen of the city of Cleveland. Do you know how many gas stations he owns?
A handful, but I don't know the exact number.
Do you know how many is in the city of Cleveland?
2 or 3 at least, I believe.
Okay. Now, have you been to those gas stations?
I've been to the newest one.
Okay. So here, Mr. Chairman, let me just share this with you. First of all, he's a citizen of the city of Cleveland. He built a multi-million-dollar property from the ground up in Charlie Slife's ward, and he purchased a number of properties on that street. He is a Clevelander, a Cleveland investor. I'm not sure if my colleagues have visited any of his gas stations, but when I inherited my neighborhood several years ago, we had 5 gas stations, Mr. Chairman. And I stood up on the council floor and talked about this. They're shithole gas stations. I got one gas station where I had to ask the director of safety when he was the chief about all the drug distributions and sales being there. They even put up a satellite system just to catch the crime. People getting shot, killed, and robbed at these 2 gas stations right across from each other. All of my gas stations was a piece of shit operations. It pissed me off because all of my people were complaining about how bad these gas stations were, how they were run, how horrible they are. And I've had it with these gas station owners. I understand the frustration, and it's difficult to put a gas station into any neighborhood because no one wants them, because of that being a part of the potential issue, and liquor sales. So I get that. I understand that. But it wasn't until this operator came in and took over that gas station, which was, I believe it was a Shell gas station at the time, on Lee and Harvard. We've had several people shot, killed, carjacked, killed inside the stores, gunfire. The store was so horrible that you would fall into a third world country going through the parking lot because it just was not well maintained, not lit at all, dark at night. This man came over here and invested over $2 million into refurbishing, fixing that gas station up, and that gas station is by far the best gas station we got in our neighborhood. And then he went and bought the other gas station that was a no-name gas station, where the man opened up the gas station if he felt like it was 1 o'clock and he woke up at 1 o'clock, he was gonna open the gas station up, he opened it up, and there was no name on that gas station. He purchased that gas station down there on that block, cleaned it up, made it nice, and in less than maybe a month later, the $125,000 he spent just putting windows in was shot up. And then he had to go and spend another $125,000 to do all of that entire window decorative process that he did on that corner. He is by far the best person that I've ever had to deal with in terms of gas stations in my neighborhood. So I don't want this council or this administration to slur him, slander him, bring him to a process, try to break him down in the courts. We know that going through eminent domain, eminent domain, that he can go through several years and still not get any discovery. Now he's held on this land that he himself didn't notice. A council member came to him and said, I want this, and got it. And this council voted for that. And so at the end of the day, I just want to remind my colleagues, and I just want to make sure Tom A. Shaw and Nikki Hudson understand, I support the proposition of a fire station being there. I support the proposition of them being leaders in their neighborhood, but I don't want to, on one side, say we're going to have this gun in our hands and you better negotiate with us, because at the end of the day, it doesn't always work out in eminent domain. And it does become a delay process. And the person who always loses is the person who owns the property. And that's just a fact. Unless he has an enormous amount of bankroll, like say the city over here that we are paying $2 million in legal fees for, he could be in court for 4, 5, 6 years. Now he lost all that investment time, energy, and life. So I would just suggest upon the administration, Mr. Chairman, and I would ask for, you should know your client a little bit more. The questions I asked you, you should have known those. You should not be sitting here and didn't know those questions. And so at the end of the day, Mr. Chairman, I just want to say this, is that we have to do a fair process, and I want to make sure that that process is fair. I support my colleagues as it relates to their territory, as it relates to what they want to see done, but I don't think that we have even begun the proposition to approach this in a fair way.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Shaw, and then we'll call for a roll.
Councilman, may I say something?
Yes, you may before I call.
Councilman, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to thank Councilman Shaw for actually bringing us together with the owner. We sat down and had a very nice conversation with him and his representatives, but for the first time, as opposed to working through his representatives, and it wasn't, Mr. Wiles at the beginning, but I have to say that we have no ill regard towards him. We appreciate the investment he's had in the city, and most of you know me. I'm an eternal optimist, right? Yeah. I really think that we can get through most issues by hard work and dedication.
Yes.
And I'm thankful that Mr. Wiles is part of this team now. He also has a good reputation, and I'm optimistic that we'll continue to negotiate
Thank you.
and treat everyone fairly.
Thank you. Councilman Shaw.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you everyone for your time and attention to this matter. This has been a very illuminating process for me, and I think I've certainly learned a lot about how City Hall works. Before I just get into the really the substance of my just thoughts I've been kind of writing down, just a quick point, Councilman Jones, you know, I'm never one to pit the east side versus the west side. For me, it's all about the working class people, no matter what neighborhood they live in. There's 9 fire stations that are west of the river, 14 that are to the east. You can look at the map. These are just the facts. Don't believe Google. Don't read it. Don't believe everything. This is our fire station map. What do you you don't want to look at?
Through the chair, thank you.
Just to be clear. Just to be clear.
Thank you.
So with that being.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Okay.
Councilman Jones.
Thank you. Okay, Councilman.
Can you pause my time?
Councilman Shaw, you have the floor.
Thank you. So I think the broader point I want to make, I think hopefully everybody's gotten their questions answered. I really appreciate the team's efforts. From the jump, I've made an effort to find the common ground. And the same point I've made to the developers, to the owners, to our internal team, every single time I've made the point that it is in the best interest of every party to avoid an extensive court litigation. I think TJ can verify that's what I've told him from the jump. That's what I've told Director as well. And that's true as well. But what I mentioned on Monday is that there are often times we're not going to come to that common ground, and we need third-party intervention because we all have different interests. And I think that's what I want to talk about and just focus on. I think going back to what some of the public commenters mentioned, right, the concept of why didn't the city buy this piece earlier, or why didn't the city do something earlier? There's often a popular misconception. I wish this was true, but it's not, that City Hall is one united entity. It is not. Even at this table, if there's 10 people, there's going to be 5 interests, even though every single one here that is being paid by the city represents the city. That is not to malign or accuse any single person here of not working for the best interest of their representatives or their constituents or their departments, but these are diverging interests that we are all representing, and that's just the fact of it. So there is no one city united entity that we talk about. And this is where the issue came from, that Councilman Jones, right, the elephant in the room, when a city representative requests or has a vision for something being developed, but other parts of the city hall are not aligned with that, what actually happens? What transpires? What say does the neighborhood have in that process? All of these things are things that we have been working through, and we're trying to find that common ground on. That's kind of the background of all of this, right? And for me, I've been clear from the jump, from the first day I announced that I was running as a campaign, I was not accepting a single dime of developer money, of commercial landlords, of corporate interests, not because I believe those are bad people, because I did not want my constituents to believe that I was doing anything that was not in their best interest. And that's where I've been from the jump. And I believe that is, to me, you can start seeing of, I'm not here to represent the developers, not here to represent corporations, not here to represent any other entities, but the working class people in my neighborhood. That's our job. And when we go to court, that's what I have to back up on. It is not to make sure that somebody gets paid what they believe their fair market value is, which is their right, and they have a legal right to make sure they do that. I also have a duty to my constituents to make sure I'm looking out for the city's bottom line. And that's what this process is happening, right? I want to kind of, a quick question for Shaker Madison's representative. I know earlier one of the concerns you have is about a mayor's veto and the potential damages that would open up your client for. Is that correct when I'm pointing that out?
That's
Yes.
correct.
I'm an attorney, you're an attorney. I know you're not here in the capacity as an attorney, but just a general litigation question for you. Anytime a civil entity has civil damages, generally they have a right to pursue those civil damages in a lawsuit. Is that correct?
Well, it's more complicated than that because when you're dealing with municipality, municipality has immunity, so you can't seek damages for delays and things like that that you could normally seek against a private party. So you're always at a disadvantage when you're against a municipal entity.
And thank you for providing that clarification. There is that option, right? But you have the right to go sue damages if you believe you have been treated unfairly or any rules have been broken. You can always pursue those civil damages. The cost of litigation is a cost of doing business. It doesn't matter where you are. That is the United States of America. Everybody has a right to go to court, and you can do that as well, and the city can do that as well. The fact that we have internal lawyers that we don't have to pay is the same as any other corporation or any other business that has a litigation team. And we should be striving to make sure that we are improving our ability to bring lawsuits like these and pursue these civil litigation suits so that we can develop that muscle internally to make sure that our city residents get the best deal possible and the best lawyers possible. So for me, this is a clear-cut issue. We have a clear answer here of how the legislative process works. We understand what eminent domain process looks like. I really appreciate the committee's time in making sure that their questions get answered, but I hope to this point everybody's been satisfied that there are many safeguards still to happen. This is a multi-step process. We're not even halfway done through it, and each party, and I've been trying to bring us to that common ground each step of the way, and I'm committed to that over the next few months. Even though this is taking up way more of my time than I ever thought it was going to, I'm still committed to it. It's not because I ran on this. It's not because I have a particular affinity to that piece of land. It's because I believe that's what's right, and that's what's right for our firefighters that are working out of Fire Station number 23. And that's what we're committed to. So I appreciate everyone's time, and hopefully this is a bit of an education process for the viewing public on what the diverging interests at City Hall look like, and a point that other council members have repeatedly raised, right, is what does it look like we have a united City Hall working towards a common goal? And it's rare that we see that. I wish it was more common, but it's rare that we see that. And I hope to find that more. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you. Okay, we've had a long, lengthy discussion. I appreciate all the comments, the public comment, folks that came to the table, comments of the administration, Mr. Wiles, and everybody else here. Madam Clerk, we have before us resolution number 457-2026 pertaining to declaring the necessity and intention to appropriate the property for public use of constructing a new firehouse number 23 for the Division of Fire located at 10022 Madison Avenue. Would you please call the roll? Yes.
No.
Yes.
Thank you very much for all who attended this committee hearing. Appreciate it. Committee now stands adjourned.